Am I recording? Yes, I am. Hey, everybody! This is a podcast we've made for ourselves as well as others. We, meaning we're not gender, neutral. We're just trying to, we don't conform to any kind of gender here. So we're we's and they's, I think. Anyways,
How about those?
yeah, I know, right? So how are you doing this week? Any updates? Any
Yeah, man. PS5 looks like it's gonna look like a bunch of weird things that they slapped together.
okay, I wasn't even thinking of talking to that, but let's do some PS5 talk because we are nerds. Let's hold the moniker. What do you think of it?
I hope they come out with an all black version. I think we're all texting each other, and I think we all kind of came up with the same thing, right? Like right away, like
they went white. That's the first time because it used to be it was gray then black then. No, it's white. Now, if you had a PlayStation X, when they came out with PlayStation, they had like various versions. No, PlayStation 2 had various versions of it. They had one they called the PlayStation X, which I seen in Japan. It was white. But it would be cool if they had different colors. I don't think they will, though.
I like the digital only edition.
Okay, whoa. What is this? I heard you guys talking about it because I didn't really watch the full thing. I've read bits and pieces. Digital play online?
So one of them is going to have the optical drive, the one where you put CDs into, and the other one is not going to have it. So in other words, it's only going to be able to download digital content and play digital content.
Oh.
But it'll save you money if you already have something else dedicated to playing 4Ks or Blu-rays or whatever, and if you don't use physical media.
Oh, shit. That's interesting. What do you think? What do you think about it? Pretty cool giving option.
I'm still going to get the drive, the one with the optical drive.
Wait, you're getting the optical drive? Oh, well, duh. Okay, yeah. Because you want the...
Yeah, I'm still going to get the optical drive. But I don't know. I just thought that was a really good option to give the consumers.
It's funny. The people who would buy the cheaper version that could download it are the very people that can afford the optical drive. Because if you're poor, you usually don't have good internet. You know what I mean? So you're going to buy this fucking thing and you won't be able to,
Well, Sony already has 4K drives that they use in their 4K players. So I'm pretty sure that's like a parts bin thing. They're just taking it off of one thing and sticking it in the console.
No, I know.
And then to give people different price points and actually invest in, the horsepower, that goes into like graphics and all that stuff. That
systems do
Sorry?
Both systems will be the same though. Like
they'll be the same. Yeah, they'll be the same. Yeah. Except one will be able to do the disc thing. I think I don't know. I finally my Onkyo receiver went out, and so I bought a Sony receiver, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, so actually I bought an open box one for 250 bones, and it's the cheapest I've spent on a receiver in the past 14 years.
Do I sound echoey? I had a problem in the other room when we recorded podcasts before. I had the speaker pointed at me, but apparently you're supposed to have it straight up. And that's how it goes. So I don't know if this room is causing an echo because I think I'm hearing an echo.
I don't hear it.
Yeah, you can only really tell in the pod and the audio form of this podcast, which I inadvertently listen to while I'm delivering pizzas. So,
anyways, the receiver I bought, it doesn't come with all the extra bells and whistles that I don't use. It has decent power, it has all the inputs, outputs, and its main function is to receive inputs, send it out to the TV, and put out speaker sounds, including Dolby Atmos and all those new codecs. So it's a lot cheaper because it doesn't come with like satellite radio and all this other bullshit that you don't need. That I don't need. I don't use it, right? Because I have a smart TV.
Was your original receiver a player of some sort?
My original receiver was an Onkyo 7.2, but it came out right before Atmos came out, so it didn't have an Atmos. It would see Atmos as like Dolby True HD audio, but it would never play like the high channels. So now I have a receiver and I put up some high channels.
Oh, okay.
It's cool, but I think the 7-channel bed layer is a little bit more immersive. Either that or I need to put speakers like in the actual ceiling to get the sound that I want. Been reading a lot online. It doesn't seem like that ceiling bounce thing really does much, but
I hear you. It's incorporating that technology with the like a sound bar, but it's
Well,
bouncing.
because usually you don't want reflections,
Yeah,
in sound. The only time you want reflections is with a sub,
yeah, because
and it's
the
working at a
radio.
different frequency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That,
when you're trying to reflect things at, the same frequencies as your other speakers, you start canceling shit out and it doesn't sound right.
you should just make your whole fucking roof a big speaker.
The roof on this fucking thing is falling apart, so I don't really want to stick anything up there anyway. So.
Sadly, like the best speakers are always. It's like old tech always works big. You know, like
Yeah, you
it.
can't beat it's math. It's physics. The physics of sound, big ass driver and different
Can do
sizes.
it. It's just hard to like Bose. They got it down to a science. They get these little speakers and they give out as if they were huge, and it's hard to find speakers that can do that as a small speaker because you're talking mountain on top of the ceiling and shit.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Like so, you would preferably want something small so it doesn't fall or anything like that. Especially if like the sound goes,
Yeah,
but that's a hard thing to find, and the best way to do it is to get a huge speaker. It always works. Even if you fuck up and get a cheap speaker, it still works better than any fucking 5-star fucking speaker.
Yeah, my Sherwin Vegas, they crank, man. They're loud. But I did notice this receiver I got has 10% less running wattage RMS rating, and I can't listen to it loud anyways because then I piss off the neighbors. So I can actually, it sounds good at like the regular. The thing is $250, and I'm not ready to spend what I really want to spend, which is about $1,200. I'm not ready for that right now. I need to.
I got a pretty good deal on mine. I bought mine for like 4 when it was on sale, and it was supposed to be 8. So that's pretty good. But it all cracks down. It really does crack down to your speakers, honestly. Like if you have huge speakers, it just doesn't matter. Like you always get the crystal clarity of sound when you have a bigger speaker. It just works that way. I mean, like I've researched fucking Polk Audio fucking speakers or Kenwood, and I mean I went the distance, and no matter how it was, nothing beats a bigger speaker, and then naturally a bigger speaker Polk, or like if you're getting name brand and shit like that. It sucks unless you get a Bose. It seems like for some reason Bose is the only one, and they don't have. I don't think they have Atmos. I think the highest they have is 5.1. But they're little speakers, man. They fucking blast.
With Atmos, you could almost turn any speaker into an Atmos speaker. I mean, it's not anything super special. I think the best Atmos speakers though are the single drivers, because you want to disperse the sound. When you put like one speaker over the other, you get this like horizontal. I forgot what it was called, but you get more of a horizontal sound because the verticals cancel each other out, and that's not the sound that you're trying to get out of Atmos. You're trying to fill the whole upper space.
I'm more about clarity of sound, not just loud, but clarity. And the Bose speakers, pound for pound, were always like, you can hear pin drops individually as opposed to just loud. Because I've always gotten loud. I've always achieved that, but it's always about that clarity.
Audiophiles always shit on Bose, but I like them.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know
yeah,
why.
a lot of audiophiles shit on them and say, "Well, you could get an Onkyo that just," and I'm like, I hear you, but like, look at the size of this fucker. These little fucking things, man. I know they overpriced, but it's that tech, that little guy that just like boom, and you're like, wow, that's almost as good. Almost, I'm not saying it's the best, but almost as good as one of them huge fuckers. And I could get any huge fucker, say Polk, Folk, off-brand, Kenwood, Ken Steel, or some shit like that, and it'll still sound better than than a Bose speaker.
Right.
Just I don't know. It is. You're right. It's physics. It's just the biggest gun usually works. And I wish they would just invest in the technology, because when you start getting get a house and shit and you want to like decorate, the bulky speakers doesn't mesh well with the furniture. It just doesn't. Right. And the little fucking Bose works. It's just that it's Bose. It's 5.1. I'm pretty sure if you paid like 15 grand or something, like maybe there's a Bose system that can go to 7. I've never heard of it, but I think they're all 5.1. I don't know. I'm not that guy. I don't know this shit.
The big ones right now are Denon, Marantz.
Of course.
Of
course.
Yeah.
I went with Sony. I think mine's a Sony or Yamaha, one of the two.
I just kind of organically ended up going this direction. A Sony TV, Sony PlayStation, Sony 4K player, and a Sony receiver.
Yeah.
I just ended up there.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was like, okay, filter out all other brands and only search Sony. No, I was just looking at the prices and stuff. And then this one's actually like $380, but I found an open box for $250.
That's good.
And when I picked it up, it's brand new. There's no scratches.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it's missing the setup mic. But I've always been good at setting my own shit up. So
never needed the setup mic ever. Like for
well, let's say I get the setup mic with and I'm gonna get the Geek Squad. I couldn't do it online for some reason. The setup mic I found it online for $25. The Geek Squad protection for 4 years is $60. So that's gonna be 60.
Needed the Geek
$85, right?
Yeah.
I saved $120. So even at the end of the day, it's a better deal because I bought it new with everything in it. It even has a remote, and it's gonna have 4 years of protection instead of the 1 year of protection that you usually get.
But have you ever needed it?
The Geek Squad?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's how I scored my TV. Remember?
What, your TV fucked up?
So I had bought a 3D 65-inch TV, and then I bought Geek Squad protection, and then they gave me back 2.5 years later. They gave me back all the money that I spent on that 3D TV. Let me keep the 3D TV because it's still watchable. It still looks really good, actually. Let me keep the TV, gave me the price that I paid for the TV, and I got to put that towards this other TV, which I also put Geek Squad protection on. All I'm saying is, it's like the money that I saved, I'm still going to come out saving maybe $35, but I'm going to have 4 years of protection on it because I'm going to beat the shit out of this thing. And it gets hot here. That's why I couldn't podcast last week because it was too damn hot, man. It's hot today, but last week it was an extra 15 degrees. And I wasn't going to be able to.
Speaking of which, you got that portable AC? How's that working?
It's working okay. My space is small, so it's good enough. Good enough. But the problem is, it's right here. So
that shit worked. Like, is it the one you had before? Because that shit was working. I got cold.
Yeah. Well, this one's I got another one. Somebody let me borrow it. I'm glad they did though, because there was a lot of other expenses that came up. But it has the same BTU rating, the same displacement.
What, 15,000?
I forget what it was. No, not that much.
Really?
No, not that much.
Like, I normally like 15 is good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't.
Shit, man. Fuck. When we moved, we gave up our portable AC. Should have fucking been there. Took it. We moved so.
I didn't know.
I wasn't thinking. I was in a blind fucking. Let's go.
That's true. Yeah. I remember it was crazy.
We straight off PlayStation 5 talk. I mean, there's some good shit there. So
my point was this. It's just Sony seems to be making components so that you can customize your layout, Like I was saying, the receiver doesn't come with all the extra shit that I already have with my 4K player, with my PlayStation, with my TV, So they can actually cut the cost down by eliminating all that random shit that you don't need. The one thing it has that I think is just like gangbusters, Bluetooth. Because then my phone can do all the other shit that the other super expensive receivers do, and then I can walk around and actually change shit from my phone. So, what they're doing with the PS5, taking out that optical drive, is basically, saying to everybody that doesn't use physical media anymore, hey, if you already got a setup and you don't want to spend as much money on a PS5, here it is. Because I think the whole point is to flood everybody's house with a PlayStation.
I agree, and I have to say, with the so think about the person who's buying the cheaper PlayStation. If that person really does care about cost, chances are they don't have good internet.
No, but this gives you the chance. This gives them the chance instead of. I don't know what the savings are going to be, but instead of spending the money on the extra, you could spend your money on your internet instead.
You would think that, right? But I'm thinking, I really am thinking about the families that bought the Xbox or whatever the cheapest system is over the other thing, and they usually never had good internet. And the primary component of the driveless fucking system is to have really good internet. You have to have good internet, and that shit's not cheap. So I mean, like it's a good idea in theory, but I just don't think I think that might not work well because they're gonna have to figure a way for people to get games. You know what I mean? Like, so I bought the cheaper thing, but I can't afford good internet. How am I gonna get games?
Well, I mean, if you remember being that age, I remember being that age. Where there's a will, there's a way. You know. And if you're a kid and you want to save $100, you save the $100, and you go over to a buddy's house and say, "Hey, can I plug my internet in? Can I plug my PlayStation in and download some games that, that the free games for the month or whatever?"
Fucking right. There you go.
Any cost savings, there's cost savings. Any money you can save or cut corners or anything.
Both buying the one with the disc drive, though, right?
But there's something else that they haven't talked about, but I'm sure this would go into it. Without the disk drive there, you have more space for cooling. They might form it a little bit closer, but now you don't have that big old thing there sucking up and storing heat.
I don't think they'll do that.
So, that could help with that.
Want that thing to break.
What?
They want it to break. I mean, they won't make it less like breakable.
No, they don't want it to break because they lose money on every system that they sell. You got to remember. All the console guys, they lose money on the consoles that they sell. The money they make is in media. So anytime they sell a game, that's where the real money's being made, is licensing and all that access to the content stuff.
I think that was for PlayStation 3, but I don't think for PlayStation 4. I know for PlayStation 3 they lost on that. I don't think they lost.
They've all lost money. We could read about it, but everything I've ever read, and then this last console cycle lasted how long? 7 years, 8 years?
It's supposed to go for 10, and they release it 3 years before that cycle. Because
I've only had to buy. I didn't even need to replace my other PlayStation 4. I bought the Pro when it came out, and I sold my 4. And the 4 is actually still going. I sold it to some kid in Tijuana, and he's still playing on it.
I know, but what's your point?
The consoles aren't made to break. They don't want them to break.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like as in yeah, I misspoke then, if that's the case. But what you're saying, like, yeah, we'll just chop out this part and then sell it for cheaper, but we'll design it a little bit different. I don't think they're going to do anything of the nature. They're just make it look the same. And it'll just
no, in the pictures you could see it has like it has this form, and then the one with the disc actually has like a lump on it. It actually looks pretty ugly. And then the one without it is more uniform on the sides.
I guess. I really don't think that's going to do anything for, like, temperature-wise. I mean, like, yeah, maybe, but I don't think that's a moot point. I really don't. I don't have a dog in the fight for that one. I'm probably going to buy the optical one, right? So I can play 4K movies. I mean, I'll have a 4K player.
I'll probably do the same. I have a 4K player, but, like, I would probably move that to the bedroom and then just let the PlayStation do it.
I just think shit on 4K, like, and then, like, because I'm finding it that the more as time progresses, I'm not watching the same shit as I used to, in the sense that I'm not coming back to stuff. I do, but then I only do for that one time. So it would be a thing where I would just rent it. Like for instance, Interstellar 4K, I don't have. And Interstellar, I have to say, is one of my favorite movies to watch with my kid. I mean, it's that father-daughter thing, and I think of my long-haired kid as a daughter. No, I'm joking. No, but I mean, I really like watching it. He's a nerd. I'm a nerd. He loves science, and there's something about it. And so every once in a while, I'll rent the movie. And like yeah, I haven't. And it's like $4 for like the 4K experience,
Why don't you hit up one of our friends for their Vudu?
Oh, I see what you're saying, but like I really. It's nothing to me. You know what I mean? Like I know maybe like if I keep doing this 10 years down the road, yeah, I will then lose out eventually. But this is a once a year, maybe once every 2 years. Because it's like $4 and then you got what? How many because how much is it? $20 for the 4K Blu-ray?
I'm wondering if I bought Interstellar in 4K or if I bought it in Blu-ray and 4K.
Well, you bought it as soon as it came out, and it didn't come out 4K first.
So then I have both versions of it.
That makes sense. I mean, like, I don't see you waiting.
I'll send you the code because I probably have the
The
code.
Voodoo, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch. I watched it again yesterday, but I'm really not gonna watch it again for another year, maybe 2.
Shit, I'll probably watch it tonight. I've been wanting to watch it with my new setup. I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, that really does test the 4K. It tests the sound. I mean, everything. And I get a little lit. I get a little drunk watching it, and I fucking tear up, dude. I tell you.
IMAX. Have you watched Ford versus Ferrari?
No, not yet. You know what? I've been like edging towards it, dude. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking watch it. You know,
That's a father-son movie.
yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It is.
It's deceptively so. Like you kind of
say anything. Don't fucking say anything. I'm gonna watch it.
yeah.
Not today. I'm doing probably tomorrow. I'll probably watch tomorrow.
Well, I shared that code with Wedo.
Oh, you did?
Watch it in good quality too, because
I definitely. I'm good.
Well, it's practical effects. So the cars are like actually there, and it's kind of.
Well, yeah. I mean, this sci-fi fucking movie. Why would it not be practical effect? That'd be stupid.
Because everything's in CG now. Oh, dude, have you watched The Mandalorian, right?
I love that show.
Okay, have you watched the gallery?
A making of or whatever. Yeah, I seen that on the Disney.
Watch it. It's so good. Oh my gosh, they used some shit in there that I was just like, they did what? How the fuck did they do that? There's this thing. I think it's an episode, the second or third episode. It's called The Volume. And have you ever watched like the making of like Oblivion, the Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah.
Well, they did this thing where they create this giant screen around the people, right? And it's playing the background, like it's actually playing the background. And then, so the people are acting, and instead of putting a green screen around them, you light them with the background. So the lighting looks like they're actually where they're supposed to be. So in The Mandalorian, what they did was they took these like 360-degree cameras, mapped out their locations without a big old camera crew, took it back to this fucking like the IMAX Dome. Remember Rubin H. Fleet Space Center? You ever been there?
Yeah.
It's almost like that. So they're in the space and they're acting and they're moving in the space. And then they had to invent something else for it too. As the camera's moving through the space, you can't leave the background the way it is. So to create parallax, like as the camera moves, like the background shifts like this, you see it in like cartoons and shit. They programmed video game graphics and engines into the cameras to create them like first-person shooters, right? So the camera turns into a first-person shooter, moves through the scene, and changes the background according to how it's supposed to move against the foreground.
Wow.
It's amazing, dude. And then the fact that I think they got, was it Unreal? They mentioned a couple of like names that you only hear like at video games, And I was just like, fuck. And they're talking about, yeah, it was really cool to bring in the game engines and to be able to use the camera in the 3D space, but to actually create the parallax. And then you think of some of the scenes that you thought were shot on location. You thought they were shot on green screen. They were shot in this fucking thing called The Volume. And I was just like, get the fuck out. It's cool, dude. It's
I really thought a lot of this was shot in the desert. And
no.
Really? Wow. I wish you told me that. Don't tell me anything. I want to watch. You don't tell me about shit I want to watch.
The other cool thing is all the directors are there. And so you hear the directors talking about stuff, man. And Dave Filoni.
Don't say another fucking word. God.
Holy shit, dude.
He's the man, right?
Dave Filoni starts breaking down some Star Wars canon shit. And I was just like, oh.
And he's like, he should be the fucking movie runner. Like
he should run the fucking
everything
movie.
Star Wars should run through him first. And
they need a kid. And then it's funny because Kathleen Kennedy is there in all the interviews, right? They're roundtable interviews.
I was feeling now I feel bad.
But it's funny because you hear her try to like give her 2 cents to make it sound like, she's still part of the creative process. And everybody else is kind of like, yeah, it's like I think they all know that she fucked up too. She did one good thing though. It's like she brought in the right people for most projects, with the exception of the dude that did The Last Jedi. Rian, whatever,
Rian Johnson.
Don Johnson. Now that guy, he's like a Dave Filoni wannabe.
Dude, you see Knives Out?
No, I gotta watch it.
Ryan Johnson, is it? I really, because I'm real mad, right? And when I saw that Knives Out, I was like, maybe he should never do Star Wars and just do these movies.
He's
good.
He's got good ideas, but the thing is, it was he wanted to subvert your expectations. And
Yeah.
You don't go to Star Wars for that.
He said,
you don't do that.
"Fuck the audience." That's what he said.
Yeah, no, you don't.
That
you're not Andy Kaufman. You're This is Star Wars, and it's supposed to be an escape. Empire Strikes Back was pretty dark, but it was still an escape. Well, and it was part of two parts.
And it was subvert, but it was different at that time. You don't need that shit now.
It subverted the movie experience because all it did was, give you a cliffhanger at the end. And back then, cliffhangers were like, what?
Yeah. Well, it was good, though, because you got that one complete movie. You really don't need anything after that. But then they made a part 2, and they ended it with a cliffhanger, like, as if they knew what they were doing at the time. But let's go back to PlayStation 5. Shit. Right. We haven't really covered anything. So when they demonstrated everything, they didn't really show much other than the games. A lot of indie games, too.
Well, you know what? They've been talking a lot about the specs.
No.
Before that, but yeah, the show was all games.
Yeah, I know a lot about the specs, and one thing I would like about it, that I like about it already is and this is a stupid thing to say, is the backward capability. Only because PlayStation 4 games are pretty up there. They're pretty upscale, but there's a constant thread that hasn't been fixed since PlayStation 2 is load. Or PlayStation 1, loading times. And if they could just nail that would be fucking tight. Well, that's the cool thing about this. You can have a fucking PlayStation 4 game, and they did the load times. I've seen it. It was like one game was like 2 seconds, and then it went down to like 0.03 seconds. I was like, what? Can you imagine playing Tekken?
Well, they did this one thing. It's supposedly, I mean, as of right now, supposedly, it was Ratchet and Clank gameplay on a PS5, right? But he's like warping through one world to another world in real time. Like you see him jump into this other world, and it's like there's stuff going on in the backgrounds and stuff. And then he like has to warp again and jumps into somewhere, and there's another mapped out world that usually would take like 10 or 15 seconds to load.
Yeah, there's no load time.
Yeah, they were using that to kind of show off the idea of no load times.
I think this is a great theme because, like, okay, think about the graphics. Like, they showed some games and it was cool. You Blade of Grass. I do not care. In fact, I mean, they can keep upscaling these graphics. It really gets to a point where you just stop giving a shit and you only want to play the game. And I've noticed a lot of these games, like with the graphics and everything, it's a one-off, man. You're like, oh wow, that looked good, but really, it is the game. Like Uncharted, like you're not big into Uncharted, but the gameplay is terrible. Like you can't climb on certain rocks and shit. But people are like swear up and down, this is the best game ever because it does look good. But the actual gameplay is like I could jump way the fuck over here, but in this little part I can't because of game design. But nobody gives a shit, And here we are with graphics again. I'm like, oh fuck, what a waste.
It's like when we talked about our when we're reviewing games, what's important, and it does go back to gameplay.
Yeah,
there's been low fidelity games that had a lot of success. Breath of the Wild,
There you go. And like load times, dude, that's a thing. Like that's the way. What a waste of time that you're loading. That should be some because computers have fucking figured this out like 10, 20 years ago. You get a faster computer, it just works. So why can't we just get to the game to get to that level,
Well, because there's also like a technology freeze when you commit to a system. So the PS5 is going to be obsolete by the time it comes out, right? There's no way to future-proof things because you can't invent something in the future for now and then it catches up.
There was PlayStation 3 games towards the end of its life, there was no load times. In fact, that was a pitching point of the game. And they were still good looking.
It's not that there were no load times. They were getting intelligent about how they did the loads.
I know, but then you go to PlayStation 4 and we're right back where we started.
Yeah, because they were trying to use more of the horsepower
to
drive the graphics cards.
Yeah, Yeah, like a game like Tekken. I mean, dude, when we go into a fight, it is fucking forever before you fight.
That's ludicrous, though. Tekken does it stupid because you can hit rematch and it'll reload everything all over again.
Yeah.
So some game designers didn't use that correctly. Like it was already loaded. The map is already loaded. The character's already loaded. Why is there loading again?
Yeah, but like loading in general, though, it shouldn't be a thing, especially in a fighting game. I mean, like, if not, dub your graphics down because Tekken, like, whatever Tekken that was on PlayStation 3 looked pretty good. I mean, what am I playing this game for? Is to fucking play. Let's fight. I don't want to fucking wait, you know? And then, like, look at games like Destiny. There ain't that much loading, except for, you know, when you go to a planet, of course. But, like, when you're going from map to map, you know what I mean? When you're on that planet, you're going map to map.
Yeah. It loads pretty quick.
There you go. They fucking figured it out. The only thing that there's loading is when you go to a planet. But other than that, I mean, they fucking got it down. So, I mean, it's there. Figure it out. Well, in fact, it's their own fucking system. They should be like, look, you don't meet our standard. You can't be out here. Fucking figured it out, you know? I mean, god damn it, you know? I don't know.
I mean, rendering takes time.
I agree, but they can figure it out.
Yeah, looks like they're figuring it out.
Figured it out before PlayStation 3. They figured this out. It should be a standard.
I'm just hoping my PSVR works on the PS5 at launch, at least. You know, I fully expect them to create like another version of VR eventually, but I hope that mine works because it'd be cool to play the games with the PS5's horsepower.
Hey, speaking of which, is there any VR haptic features are going on? Or were we joking about that shit on the text? Because I remember someone said, I know we were joking haptic parts, but I mean like as in, yeah, I don't want to go there.
No, it's just controllers. Just the controllers vibrate.
Nothing else? Like I thought like for VR, no, nothing? Man, like how hard would it be to fucking put a glove on it, you know, haptic? You know?
But that's what the controller does. Okay.
It's not the same as a glove.
No, that'd be cool. But now you're talking about like Ready Player One type stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's not hard. All they have to do is do it, and then it would suck, right? But then the next generation, it would be good, right? I mean, like shit. Like you look at like 10 years, man. You got from PlayStation to PlayStation 2, and Jesus, you're shooting. First, you're shooting like 10 bottles at once, and now like PlayStation 2, you can shoot individual bottles. You know, so like I mean it'll take that long. I don't know, I digress. You know what, let's get into some meaty things, unless you want. Hey, did you watch anything lately? How about Space Force? So you want to break down Space Force real quick?
Did you finish watching it?
Yes, I did.
Did you like it?
You know what, to be continued. I want to get at some hard shit and then go back to it, you know. All right, let me share the screen. Share, there it is. Share this fucking shit right here. What do you see this? You see that shit?
You know what? I didn't see. I didn't watch the news about that thing that happened.
Oh, but you know what it's about, right?
Yeah. Everybody's kneeling in support of BLM.
Yeah, but come on. You see my mouse?
Yeah. Is that like an African thing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm showing my ignorance right here. You know, I'm embracing it. You know, I'm not.
What else would it be?
What that is?
It's what they call a kente cloth.
All right.
It's part of the Ashanti tribe in Africa, and this is a thing where you got Democrats, right? But believe it or not, there's other branches of groups that they vote accordingly, and one is called the Black Caucus, and they recommended to wear these kente cloths and do the kneeling thing, and so they did it, right? But I mean, what does
the cloth mean? I mean, I think there's other things. If they want something that represents the BLM movement, they should create something that represents the BLM movement.
No, this is more for African Americans.
Yeah, and then I don't know if they should be wearing it.
Because Floyd, like, I'm pretty confident we can go and search his house. He ain't got kente cloths. He doesn't know what the Ashanti tribe was. You know, none of the shit.
Right.
Anything to do with him, other than the fact that he's black. African Americans are, from Africa.
Yeah, but the movement is not just about him, though. I mean, he's kind of like the thing that happened to him
But they kneeled for like 8 minutes.
Please, a lot of other people too.
Yeah, but they kneeled for that amount of time, you know. So the Democrats are showing their solidarity, you know. Like, yeah, we're all about Black Lives Matters. That's why we're wearing this African stuff, and that's why we're kneeling. What is that not a fucking, like, just seeing them do that? Doesn't that not just show the
It
hypocrisy?
feels like pandering. It doesn't feel genuine.
Right? You're fucking right?
I think real power would be, all right, we're working on this bill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're gonna roll this out. We're not even gonna count votes. We're just gonna send it out there and let these motherfuckers vote no if they're gonna vote no, and then have them tell us why they're voting no. You know, when it comes to like police reform or
But it wasn't that, like, this was a bigger deal than you know, like, in the sense that, like, this fucking raged off the internet. It was like everywhere, and I was just like, you're right, it's pandering. And I was just like, this is a thing that they thought was a good idea. Do you think this was a good idea?
no, I think it radicalizes both sides.
It made me angry.
I think if there are people on the right, they're just gonna get more pissed off.
Yeah, well, they're gonna call him out. They're gonna say
They're gonna call them out, and they're gonna get more to their side.
say you're a Democrat, which you are. What do you think? That's fucking infuriating. It's like, I don't know. It's like, vote for me, you know? Yeah, I totally care. It feels like they really don't care.
It feels like baby kissing.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah, baby kissing. Yeah, I care for you, but not really. That's how I felt. I don't think they give two shits. I felt it insulting. Uh-oh. You paused. Uh-oh.
I was watching the first one where Loki's in Stuttgart.
Uh-huh.
It's because I just saw the recording light come back on. Okay, so watching Avengers
Okay.
1 where Loki's in Stuttgart, Germany, and he's like telling people to kneel, and he's subjugating them, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's got to be another way to do it. Kneel, but with your head up, you know? Because kneeling with your head down, it's not good optics, especially for the people that are on the right that feel like they're giving up everything, you know, and kneeling before another entity that's not the same entity that's been in power for the past 400 something years on this continent. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you not Loki. You're talking about the Democrats that were kneeling.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about both. The scene has Loki standing over everybody, and you see everybody kneeling with their head down. And then you just showed me that picture of Pelosi and them.
I thought he was commanding them to do
He
that.
commanded them to kneel.
And I think, like, they were, they were compelled, or
No,
they felt
told them to kneel, and they knelt on their own because he fucking scared them, right? He didn't do the Loki thing. He didn't tap them all on the chest.
Oh, I thought that's what he was doing.
No, he said kneel, and then they were like, oh, he said kneel, and then they all kneeled.
Okay, so Nancy Pelosi's kneeling. What is that saying to you? What do you mean?
It's because, man, if you ever want to be good at arguing, you got to look at it from the other side, right?
Of course.
Write a paper, you develop an argument, you have to be able to see the other side and what they're going to say. And here, if I'm on the right, I'm saying, you know what? They've totally given up all of their will to this movement that, that all they're doing is breaking stuff and, causing more havoc. Why don't they just like vote or,
I thought they were
do it the right way?
They were kneeling because what's his Floyd, Mr. Floyd here, they kneeled on his neck, and they kneel. You know what? As I'm saying it, I'm not understanding what they were doing. Why were they kneeling? Like,
so glorifying the guy that was kneeling on his neck.
But I read why they kneeled, and then as I said it, it sounded stupid.
Right.
So they were kneeling for that time because that's what the cop kneeled on him for that time.
So we're kneeling. Who are we kneeling on?
Yeah, is that? I mean, I know that's something. Oh shit!
It's leftovers from the Colin Kaepernick kneeling movement.
Oh, you think
this is why we kneel? So they're not kneeling to.
They kneeled at that time.
It's convoluted because I don't think anybody is figuring out what the messaging is.
No, but I've read several articles. They were kneeling for that time that Floyd was getting kneeled on. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense though. As I'm saying
It doesn't make a lot of sense putting the two together. You know,
it's
a moment of silence for 9 minutes and 40 something seconds.
8:46.
8:46. Sorry, 8:46.
Dave.
That makes sense.
Wait, kneeling for 8:46.
Kneeling during the anthem. Okay.
No,
you know?
for this.
Right, but for this, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, let's feel bad for the victims of this thing by doing the thing that was done to the victims.
Yeah, dude. Like, if anything, they should have, I don't know, like laid on the floor and like they
The
were.
messaging is fucked, dude. But you know what? It is kind of effective, but I think it's effective with the wrong people. Black Lives Matter. Okay, people on the left said, yeah, Black Lives Matter too. You know, they're
No,
not saying,
you know what? It's funny you say
Black
that.
Lives
Wait. What you just said, I have never heard the left say. Like, you and me agree it's Black Lives Matters as well. Or,
Right.
But I've never heard them say it. In fact, they become more visceral with it. Like, Black Lives Matter! Like that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, yeah, I agree. What you're saying is,
But
well,
what is the right hearing? What is the right hearing? The right is hearing only Black Lives Matter and that they need to be superseded in this and that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I've seen so many good memes like, my leg hurts like you got kicked. Well, my leg matters too.
You're right. And that's that it's not it's again, that's the right not trying to see it from the left's point of view. You know?
Yeah.
At that point everybody's just kind of acting
Clear understanding of their own message, and in that respect, I've never heard them say Black Lives Matter as well.
Now, defund the police.
Okay, you want to go there, huh? All right.
I'm down with what they're trying to say. I'm not down with the messaging, but hey, the message painted in big letters, defund the police, really got people saying, what do you mean by that? You know?
Polarized it even more.
Well, because it doesn't really get the attention of, hey, why don't we work on a phased plan to reduce our spending on policing and focus on social programs to actually treat the cause.
Yeah, investing the police, you're investing on the other things. The social.
Yeah, and not like that. Not just like, hey, let's take 50% out of the cop budget and put it into social program. Obviously, that's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
But at least talking about moving to a place, Star Trek, where we're not spending money on policing each other. We're instead taking those resources and putting them into helping each other.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But that doesn't have the same pizzazz or fire. That doesn't get people going and pissed off about things the way that defund the police does. But again, who does that work with? It works with people on the left. It doesn't work with people on the right. The people on the right only heard defund the police. So what are you going to do? You're not going to have police at all?
Yeah.
That's
exactly what happened.
That's all that happened. So all that defund the police did was radicalize the left and the right again.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, like, there should be. I was listening to this Navy SEAL talk, and he was saying that instead of defunding the police, and this is something you spoke to, which kind of irritated me, but I see the thought process behind it. He's talking about he's a SEAL, right? He goes, train them more. They don't train as much. He broke it down like they only train like once every month or once a year or some shit like that. And I agree with him. There's like little trainings things. I remember hearing that. And he said that they should be training 1/5 of their time, so every week. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense because, okay, so for instance, you have 4 cops, kind of like what they had. And in that time, you have the 1 bad egg, but you have 3 good ones, or maybe 3 bad ones and 1 good one. But at least there'd be one to be like, it's all about de-escalation, right? So you have piece of shit on homeboy, and one guy goes, hey, look, let me take over. You go over there, de-escalate, and I'll handle this. And the way the SEAL broke it down, man, yeah. If I was gay, dude, all over that guy.
I agree. Here's the problem with that. Because I've been to trainings where people have been there in the job probably too long.
I agree. Shitty people. Yeah, no,
Roll their eyes. They'll be like, I don't know. I shouldn't be here. This and that. I'm fucking 20-year veteran. You know, this is bullshit. This is a waste of my fucking time.
but you're playing statistics, right? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna like one out of I mean all four not gonna listen. I think maybe one out of four would listen, and that one person can make the difference. I think
You're right. You're right.
I train because I believe the
I
people.
should watch that. Send me the link later.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's this is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan on the Jocko William. He goes pain good. He's one of these motivational speakers who go like pain good. You know, like you have a problem, you got fired, good. You know, you could just figure a new way. The mission got fucked, good. You'll figure a new way. You know, that kind of guy. I mean, dude, this guy fucking revs my engine. You know, but yeah, dude. I mean, when he broke it down that way, I was like, I'm anti this training notion only because I think that yes, you should train them. Yes, these are all good things, but we should put systems in place where they can get caught. You know what I mean? I think you should do both. But I mean, when he said it training wise, I mean, I could see that working in the sense that you're right. A lot of people, a lot of them aren't going to listen. But you're going to get that one guy who's going to listen. And he could have made the difference. That one fucking guy would have said, hey, I got this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just take over.
Because that might have to be another part of the training too. How do you diffuse fellow officers that are probably making the wrong decision?
Yeah.
You know? So not one-on-one,
exactly.
you civilian, but hey, let's say you're in a situation there's an officer who's doing something wrong. Instead of tackling him or pulling him off, what can you do? Yo, Sarge called you on the squawk box. You know, I don't know what the fuck they say, right? But hey, Sarge is calling you right now. I'll handle this. Just like what you said right now. You know, that and they would have been able to say, oh, fuck, he's fucking dead or he's on the edge or whatever, But they're kind of, they're all so used to protecting each other, And
then another thing that SEAL did, like, man, dude, he really resonated with me. He goes, so in Afghanistan, when you're in those fucked up places or Iraq or whatever, and they'll see you as an enemy. But if you're part of the community trying to help out people, because you got these jihadists and shit, and then you got this one family, they got same values as you do. And if you just go out and talk to them and then, bring them along with you, show what you're doing, then they'll grow up, And I mean, he was doing what I call the SEAL version of Fufu science, like let's kumbaya. But he was basically saying that if you were to go into the community, take young men or women, for a ride along. That's a thing that they do. You ride along with the cops to see how it is, and that way there's a community, and I was like, that's fucking beautiful. I don't know if that will ever happen, but yeah, you can't, as a police group, you're making yourself the other. So, but if you made yourself more about a community, you'd be set. And it's all about the young, not the people who are doing it.
Well, then there was reports about this guy that was doing the warrior training for the police. I don't know if you heard about this.
No, shit. You know something I know.
He was training cops to have the mentality of, you're an officer and, your job is to uphold the law and this and that. He goes, but you might be in a situation where you have to kill. It's why you carry a gun.
Yeah.
And, a thing that has to be prepared to kill has to always have that mindset and be ready to do it. And basically he was basically training these cops to be on edge.
Dude.
You watch, check it out. It's they called it warrior training, right? And they're basically putting the cops into a warrior mentality, but they're in their own neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? You can't have an antagonistic approach in a community. That's not productive.
Of course. Yeah, I agree.
That doesn't engender the sense of, hey, they're here to protect us.
Yeah.
It's more of a, damn, this fucking guy might snap at any moment. He's always he's treating me like an enemy.
Yeah.
Because that's how he was trained.
Yeah.
Well,
and like he was talking about training, like as in for SEALs, it's you've got a woman and a child in a fucking situation, and one has a gun, and other situations was just a woman and child, and they would constantly throw you in these situations where shit could change. And
right.
So You just trained for, this is a situation where I kill, this is a situation where I don't. And I mean, this is fucked up. You know, woman and child, you'd have to blast a kid. You know, to train you that way.
Have you watched War Machine with Brad Pitt?
Oh yeah. I've seen, I've seen that.
They have a lot of those types of situations where they accidentally kill, part of this family, and then they're there and they're trying to give them money. I hope I'm not fucking this up with another movie, but they're trying to fix it with money.
Huh.
And
But okay.
Well, the thing is, you're creating people that don't like you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't pay nobody. Like if I hurt you, well, they certainly paid that kid, a lot of money, going forward. She's getting Disney stock and everything.
Who was the one? Brooks, no. Been so many lately, man.
Yeah.
The guy that fell asleep at the Wendy's drive-thru.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about that. I actually have a link about that, but I'm not going to share it. I'll tell you his name right now. I have it pulled up. His name is, that's gay stuff.
I want to say his last name starts with a B.
Well, I had it. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Fuck, I had it. It was like Gregory. Not Gregory. That's stupid. Paste. That's Kente cloth. Fuck, okay, whatever. Yeah, the guy at the Wendy's. Man, I had it. I fucking had it.
Well, the officers are there, right? Tussle. He takes off with the taser, and they shoot him.
I know.
I don't know. That doesn't even sound like protocol.
They shot him in the back, and they're
they shot him in the back.
Shot Brooks.
Yeah, I was right. It was Brooks. Yeah. So they shot him in the back, and it's another one where it's just like, okay. The other side is over. Well, he should have been drunk. He should have been in his car. He should have done this. Yeah. Okay. He did these things, and the cops went here.
Yeah.
I
always break it down when people get all when people get kind of shitty about this. I go, so he shouldn't have resisted arrest. So is that a killable offense?
That's it. That's an easy one. Is that death penalty?
He shouldn't have shot the stun gun at him.
Is that death penalty?
Yeah. I mean, they play the what if. What if he had a gun? No, he shot the stun gun because he took it from him. And they go,
they searched him.
And then they say, like, what happens if he goes somewhere else and kills somebody else? I'm like, you're the one who arrested him. Yeah. And, like, it's a thing in which you pulled up his rap sheet, right? Like, so I'm a cop, right? And if I wanted to, I could pull up his rap sheet, right?
Right.
And, yeah, he's done some things, but nothing warranting murder. You know what I mean? So what? He beat his kid, whatever. He went to jail. The only reason why he's out is because of COVID-19. He was able to get out. And, like he was afraid. The thing was he was afraid of going back because he would have went back to jail forever or some shit like that, right? And that ran away. But still, again, all of this doesn't equal death penalty,
And it's them going next level where they didn't have to. Are you?
Yeah, like something like happened just now. Let me pause this real quick. What are you talking about?
Well, we're kind of like between 2 points, but something else that I was going to bring up right now was the fact that the police reports aren't reflecting everything that's going on in a lot of the cases.
What do you mean? You mean with the guy getting shot in the back for shooting a stun gun?
I haven't looked at the police report for that one, but like Breonna Taylor.
Right?
Sorry?
Is that another one that died?
So this was the one where the police were serving a no-knock warrant?
Oh, I heard about that. They made it so that's illegal now.
Yeah, well, in some places.
Oh.
But it's like, imagine you're at home, you're asleep, they raid it at like 12:30 at night.
Yeah.
Right? And you hear some shit, and you have a gun, and somebody's just banging on your fucking door, and they're breaking the door down, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Bam, bam. You're assuming it's somebody trying to break into your house, right? You live in a place where you're allowed to defend yourself with a gun. And so her boyfriend shot a couple rounds through the door, hit a police officer. So they all shot in.
Yeah.
And I guess they went in shooting all over the place because there's bullet holes all over the house. And they ended up putting 4 bullets in the guy's girlfriend. And so they had a no-knock warrant. Now, in their report, they said that they had announced themselves as police. But the boyfriend says he never heard them announce themselves. He didn't know what was going on.
Because I mean, after the fact, I mean, he would have said that. I'm not defending the guy.
No, we don't know. I mean, it sounds like he shot through a door.
Yeah, I agree.
An officer. So looking at that, looking at the cops in Buffalo, the 2 cops that pushed that old man
Yeah.
onto the back of his head, and now he's probably got brain damage, right?
Yeah, it was fucking hardcore.
But for life.
Mm-hmm.
And in the report that they put that that he tripped and fell.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you guys fucking pushed him. And then it was the 2 of them that pushed him. And they're stout and they're wearing all kinds of shit. And this dude's like 70-something years old. It's like, it's force equals mass times acceleration, you know? It's just, you doubled the force, and guess what? That one guy's mass is going to accelerate really quick on his ass.
I'm not trying to go back and forth with you, but I mean, if I'm walking and somebody comes up on me, I'm not fucking checking their age.
Well, there's that, yeah, okay, whatever, right? Or yeah. We're not checking their age, oh, whatever, but at least take responsibility and say, hey, you know, we pushed the dude, and you know, he ended up cracking his skull open.
That's the issue right there. Not
hit backwards and fell.
Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be that they pushed him. I mean, that sucks.
Well, in the Breonna Taylor case, they didn't mention that they had filled her full of bullet holes. You know, injuries were like none, and they're trying to say that they announced who they were before they went in, and all of that seems really sketchy.
Of course it does. It sounds like I could just see it how it played out. They fucked up and then they covered it up, and it sounds like some fucking conspiracy theory bullshit, but it's true.
Did you watch the tape of the guy over here in La Mesa?
With the who's
So he didn't get killed, but he was sitting at a bus stop waiting for his friend in front of his friend's apartments. Right? He's waiting for his friend to get there, like condominiums or something like that. And it just so happens there's a trolley or bus station or whatever right in front. So he's sitting on the bench, kind of just waiting, and the cop rolls up on him. White cop, black dude. Cop rolls up on him and starts asking him what he's doing there and this and that. And then he's like, "Hey, I'm just waiting for my friend. You know, he's right here." And then he gets up to go go meet with his friend. He hasn't been detained. He is not arrested. You know, and the cop grabs him to pull him back, right? Like, hey, you know, you don't walk away from me type of deal, right? But if he's not under arrest, he's not being detained, he's not being questioned formally, he actually doesn't have to stand in front of the cop and listen to his shit.
I agree. Yeah.
You have the right to not be harassed. So he goes to walk away to walk to his friend's car, and the cop grabs him. And instinctually, you know, if you're dealing with another human being and the human being grabs you, you pull away, right? The cop said that he slapped his hand away. In his report, says that he slapped his hand away. They arrested him, okay, and took him for that. Not for waiting at the bus stop, not for anything else that he did or didn't do, for what the cop initiated.
Yeah.
And that's why La Mesa got set on fire the end of that week, you know, on Saturday, because the body cam came out. The cops thought that the body cam was going to help their case. It didn't, because it actually makes the cop look like a douche.
Yeah, because why, like, you know, fast forward the thought, why, yeah, you know what? That's so normal in our setting. You got these systems in power who do these things, and a common person would say, well, what about this? And then they were like, no, this is the way it is. Because, like, why would he slap your hand away? What's the reason for him slapping your hand away? You know, exactly. Why'd you grab him? That doesn't they only see it as you slapped his hand away. But why the fuck did he slap his hand away? Because he grabbed him. But that's not a question that's happening. All it is you slapped an officer. That's assault. Done.
Right. It's not. They're not seeing that the cop was actually escalating things. You know, and instead of de-escalating it, you know, or saying, yeah, you know what, my bad.
Yes. It was like,
He wanted to enforce his power. And
yeah,
then there's more evidence there too because he it's a big dude. He like grabs him by the chest and sits him down. You know, that's a power move. You know, that's the show. I have power and strength over you.
and you better respect my authority. That's a theme. That's a common theme in this. And like, I don't know, a lot of people. I'm pro cop, but the system of cops, it's just you have developed this ability to me versus you,
Right.
and that's what it is. Now we're working together for a common cause, and that always breaks down. I mean, it breaks down between teacher and student. It breaks down between boss and employee, where it's some kind of a power dynamic when it doesn't have to be. It could just be we're working together.
Right.
I've always thought like we're all working together to be a team. This isn't working together. You fucking
Right.
said this. I mean, like, they're searching for the arrest, right? As soon as they're talking to you, they're looking for the arrest. Like, they're
It's not even that. Maybe he didn't even want to arrest him. He just wanted to flex on him, and
No.
didn't think that the civilian that he was talking to didn't automatically just give in to him.
Yeah, I agree.
Friend, I'm sorry, officer, I'll walk away. No, he was just like, dude, I'm waiting for my friend.
Yeah.
Fuck wrong with you? Now, did the guy have to cuss at him? No, he didn't have to talk about it. But you know what? At the same time, you're a police officer. You have a gun on your hip.
Mhm.
You don't need to flex anymore.
Yeah, it's like they got these people who are in a job who don't respect the customer because they really are just servants. But they're not acting like servants. They're acting more like imagine if you ordered something and the fucking waiter was all like, "Well, fuck, that's the shit you got." And then they fucking escalate on you. You know what I mean? They're supposed to help you. They're supposed to be servants. They're not serving. They're doing their own thing, and then like there's a system in place of protection. So I mean, like, I don't know, man, dude, that Navy SEAL guy said maybe you should clean house.
See, and that doesn't just happen though, with police. It happens in a lot of places.
It's a power dynamic.
I'm sure you saw that your service, you know. I see it at the schools that I work at, where
People who are
somebody
really of rank power
yeah,
trip over people underneath them. They're just like, well, I'm a fucking petty officer, and I'm like, what is a petty officer? Like that's pretty weak. Not against me. Like, I mean, there is a thing, like a gravitas to a person. But like, if they think they can like shit on you, they will. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm a fuck. What do these crowds mean?" I've heard people say that, and I'm like, you're not really of a rank. You're not really an officer. You're a enlisted. Like an officer can power trip on, but it happens. It fucking happens, dude.
and I saw it in high school at ROTC.
Yeah.
Some kids had, like the three chevrons up, and I only had one, and
Yeah.
you
And
know,
like,
they would try to flex on me, and I'm like,
yeah.
we're students,
Ah,
this isn't the real military, and we're not in a life or death situation where I need to do everything that you say, or else, it's the end of the line for us. We're not in combat.
but
We're
that's
kids.
the
We're
thing.
cadets. Get the fuck off your horse.
They did a Stanford test, and I think they made a movie about it. It's like they got students, and randomly you're cops, randomly you're prisoners, and they had to quit it because they were getting out of control, right? They were power tripping, and then people were seeing that, right? Fucking not even a cop, and like that's a thing.
And there's another kind of power trip that starts to get highlighted with race, right?
Yeah,
And that's where this starts to kind of come back to, because that power trip has been kind of put into systems. I would say not so much down here in the Southwest, but I've seen it here too.
California, the beautiful thing about that is in California, you really are insulated in the sense of racism. You think you know what racism is, but you really don't know. In fact, I was ignorant of it myself because I've been around the world. I've done all this shit. And in California, I'm like, you know what? When you brass tacks, when you get down to it, people are all people. and then I came to Michigan.
Well, or parts of California too. I mean, there's parts of California.
You say that, but then you come.
But you usually have to be a lot darker though to feel it. I think. You know?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe, but in fucking Michigan though, because I don't identify in any kind of race. I don't have a group of people that I can be like, yeah, Brown Lives Matter. We don't have that, and so I come to Michigan and I've seen racism firsthand, and I was like, I didn't believe this existed, in the sense that I thought they were just different views, not in a foundation built off of lies. Like a foundation that's so fucking powerful that 1 + 1 is 3. That's what it is.
So I used to this go back to you. I'm not just like taking what you just said and throwing it in a box, right? It'll come back to it. I used to be kind of soft on the whole idea about the Civil War monuments.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, I mean, they probably shouldn't be up, but they're historical and it's kind of important to know, and Robert E. Lee was a dude. My problem was I was looking at him as a character and not as a person who straight up walked away from the Union to join the South and defend their doctrine about slavery.
I hear you.
I kept looking at it as this dude that was kind of torn between, joining the North because they asked him to be like the lead general for the North, right?
Because he had all the experience.
Right. But he decided to go to Virginia and say, no, you know what? If Virginia's going to the South, I'm going to stay with my state, because back then states were kind of viewed as like countries or whatever. But he ended up being on the wrong side of it. Sorry, say that again.
As they should be. They really should be viewed as such.
Right. So with the statues there, with all of that in place, they're still celebrating the fact that they tried to go against the Union. And it's like, who is that? Why is he up there on that? Well, that's Robert E. Lee, and he fought against the Yankees from the North. He fought against those dudes in New York and Boston, and America.
Yeah.
All those guys. He fought against Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And so you start raising them from a young age to justify looking up to those figures. So now, I mean, the conversation's happening up now. Now I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, they need to get those things the fuck out of there, because
I think they should be in a museum
with context.
Fucking right. I mean, what you just said is not taught in history, and you know that because you're a teacher. That's not a thing you teach. I mean, you could teach it, but that's not a thing that's taught. And I think what you want and what is could be achieved. I mean, if you put that shit in a museum and you get taught, here lies the person who did that. Right. And let's really.
That's the big counter argument. Oh, that's our history. This is
in a museum though. In a museum.
Internet. There's books. We want to commemorate. The fact that Hitler was a bad fucking dude. We don't have statues of him up.
No. I think they really should keep these statues only not in the spots that they're in, right. But they should be in a museum. And this is important why they should be in a museum. And I'll make a fucking argument for this. Is because here lies a person that people idolized. Yeah. And did this shit. And see the ways that he went wrong and how you can avoid it. Because if you do not, we all know this classic adage, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat, doomed to repeat it. Yeah. And it's important to learn these historical things that you may think you're right, but in reality you are wrong. And so how important he is more important than, say, someone named Bob who decides I hate this shit. Because Bob, you could become that guy. But because you're not learning why he did this and why he is and why people are so angry about this, you're going to repeat those historical things. And I think that they should bring this fucking thing into a fucking museum. And, people are going to burn this.
Yeah, I wouldn't destroy them.
It's important to see the statue, though. in the sense, in a museum, in the sense that people created these things thinking, yeah, and these weren't made in the fucking 1800s, mind you. These were made in the 70s to go against the fucking, you know, the hippies and shit like that. You know, like, these are recent, you
I
know?
was gonna say, John Oliver did a breakdown. It was a couple years ago,
Ah.
where they kind of looked at the trends of like when these monuments went up, and
Uh-huh.
those
They
were,
are for racism.
yeah, it was in response to civil rights movements.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's,
you had the civil rights movements of the '60s and '70s, and then you saw a spike in the in the monuments
you know
going up.
what's wrong with our historical like teaching, our school system in general is we're teaching one aspect of a thing. Hitler bad. No, 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 no. That's not how we should teach. We should teach how he became who he is.
Well,
It's not like everyone decided
yes,
8 million.
I don't think you meant it that way. You know, viewers and all that shit. I don't think Kevin's defending Hitler, but yeah, no, Hitler bad, yes. And how did that happen? How did that come to be?
Like, I think that's more important.
The Hitler.
Yeah.
He didn't just appear as a baby evil destined to kill all these people.
And how people want, yeah, and how people wanted to learn from him, wanted to be him, wanted to do what he says. I mean, it's important to understand how our system, our economy, everything that we are, how we became this, why we are into this guy, and why we're into these statues. Why are we defending these fucking statues? That should be taught. But instead of that, we're focused on the good and bad. Yes, bad. No, it's not good or bad. Let's figure out why we're here, so that we don't repeat these same systems. Because I'm pretty confident it's not about good or bad. In the future, we're gonna find something else, and we're gonna do some heinous shit.
Well, and
We think it's good.
that's the problem right now. So in Michigan, there's this set of values, right?
Yeah.
And so if you attack not the person but the values, it's the same thing as attacking the person.
I agree.
So across the South, they have these monuments, these statues, and people from outside of the South are telling them to take them down. Well, it's like, hey, you're not from here. You don't know what the fuck we're about. Why the fuck are you telling me to take down my statue that I've been looking at since I was a little baby and looking at with my granddad? Well, because you weren't taught what that means. You weren't taught, how that came about.
Mhm.
You were taught to celebrate this thing. You weren't taught that as a cautionary tale. You were taught that as something to celebrate, which is why they run around waving the Confederate flag. That was the flag that was used in opposition to the Union. So how American can you be if you're waving something un-American?
I agree. Wait, hold that thought. Continue.
Now, some people are going to say, well, that's freedom of speech, right? Yeah, okay. Waving the Confederate flag is freedom of speech, but you're saying something pretty loud.
No. Yeah, you're saying
something pretty loud.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you need to go to jail or any of that stuff, but guess what? If NASCAR doesn't want it at the racetracks, then guess what? You can't take it to the racetracks.
Yeah.
If it's not allowed in this area or that area, you have to be ready for them to say, you know what? I'm sorry, but we can't help you here. We reserve the right to refuse service, and including speech.
What do you think about this Gone with the Wind nonsense? You read about that?
I don't know too many people that watch Gone with the Wind to celebrate slavery.
I don't either, but it's a thing, right? You're trying to stop this movie because it promotes slavery, which it doesn't.
Here's my problem. I mean, I'm not African American. I'm not Black. I haven't been subjected to it, so I can't see it with that lens. You know what I'm saying?
Now
I
heard
you say that's cringy, but I'm not offended by it.
No. Stop. I've heard you say this shit before, but you've never been murdered, but you know it's wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can empathize with the fucking topic. I mean, you're not some simpleton. You got this. I mean, like, yes, Black people, slaves, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean to say blah, blah, blah. Slavery is bad, but, like, there's thousands of fucking, like, Django Unchained.
But Django Unchained, it's showing slavery, and it's not putting it in a, hey, matter of fact, this is the way it was. It's really hitting you with it to get that visceral reaction. Gone with the Wind uses it as like, hey, these were the good old times, when slavery was this and that. And they're trying to paint, the white lady's perspective of things, in that light, that the good old times were back, during slavery. Now the bad old times are here, and she doesn't have her slaves anymore to keep her rich and blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
So it's different, but
But there,
I,
I mean, like, oh,
I don't know if there's that many black people that are offended by it.
no, I hear you because they're not watching Schindler's.
Like they go out there and say, "No, fucking racist movie."
You know what though? I mean, like when it comes to emotions, people are getting to a point where they're like, you just mentioned something, and then people just go with it, right? And you're like, Gone with the Wind. Fuck it says fuck you to black people, and then you can just grab a black person off the street who's watched this, who read the headline probably. They're probably like, yeah, fuck that shit, They really haven't given any thought or nuance to it. They're just going with whatever side they're on. And hey, look, man, I'm fucking pro Black Lives Matter. Fucking, I'll literally lay in the fucking traffic for this shit. But I mean, like, when you start taking away movies just because of the context, it's an eye in the window of time. You know what I mean? Like, you can look back on it, watch it, and say, huh, that's what people thought. Like, for instance, when you watch, like, The Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel, he did 100 episodes of fucking being misogynistic. Does that mean I need to cancel him? No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. But there's some shit in there, like, where he was trying to end women's suffrage, the right to vote, because of the word, how suffrage works. And he was trying to end that. And that, as a joke, by the way. But I mean, it's not like a thing in which I need to cancel him. It's a thing in which I watch it, and that's a window of time. Like, there's movies that happen. Damsel in distress. Right now, we don't believe in that kind of shit. Women are never in distress. But that was a thing back then. I mean, just we shouldn't get rid of these movies. I'm just protecting things like history and movies. You want to stop things, stop them. But like, let's keep them somewhere.
Should we condemn any of the founding fathers that owned slaves?
Right? Fucking Abraham Lincoln. I mean, like, we're judging.
We can say that now.
Yeah.
We've evolved to the point where we can see what back then they couldn't see. What?
They're screaming on your end.
Yeah, there's kids playing outside.
What? Oh yeah, I forgot time difference. Yeah, I was like, fuck.
You're like, there's kids playing outside at 10:30 at night. What the hell? It's so safe here.
Yeah, go ahead, go and finish your point.
We still got sunlight.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, it's a window. It's a window in time. But again, you got to be able to put it in context, and you got to be able to recognize what's changed since then, why that wouldn't be appropriate now. And
yeah, but you still have it. You shouldn't cancel it.
Right. We're not like deleting all the knowledge about it or whatever. But
no,
we know that it happened. Everybody knows that it happened. It's the original sin of the founding of the country.
Oh no, but we are getting rid of shit though. We're taking statues down. We're not trying to put it in a museum.
See, okay, the people that kind of understand how things should be are kind of arguing for how it should be, because I mean, we're not deleting that information from like the internet or anything, right? And right now we're kind of saying that, yeah, we should take the statues down out of these public, it shouldn't be in the middle of a glorietta, or a park. It should be in a museum.
I agree.
This was established, this monument was raised by a bunch of racist people in this town that wanted to.
There should be true history behind it.
Instead of wanting to celebrate, the North or their ability to heal after, after the war and all that stuff. Instead, they put up the guy that fought the damn thing.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, there should be more history behind it in the sense that, yeah, erected in the 70s to combat this shit, like, I mean, that is more prevalent than what it was. You know what I mean? Like, it's more prevalent than if it was made in the 1600s. It's because it was made directly for racist reasons.
It was meant to like almost like put a no vacancy sign or a not welcome sign.
Yeah, they're like, they can't marry white people. Boom. This statue is. Because like that statue was made prior to that, I think. I don't know. I'm bro science. But I mean, like black people marrying like white people, that wasn't a thing until like later in the 70s. Right. And this shit was made in the 70s. So I really don't know the time frame, but this is not too long ago. This is what, 30 plus 50 years, you know?
Is after the Civil War. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's not like, hey, you know, Robert E. Lee was our dude going way back. No, they're celebrating him because he fought on the side of the South.
Yeah, and that should be not only in the news. See, and you know, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it does feel it's a weird thing, right? Because this is really what we should know about. In fact, I should be able to grab a person. If I grab a person off the street and say, who's Jesus? He died for our fucking sins. But if I grab you off the street and say, hey, the statue right here, what's this about? They would say, oh, it's fucking racist. There's more sinister work there. It was in the 70s, a thing that happened 400 years ago, made later to do, you know what I mean? Like, people are thinking, like, literally, if I grab someone off the street about this shit, feelings come out. Oh, it's racism. But they're not talking about the shit that it was only made in the 70s. To you know what I mean? They wouldn't know that. They wouldn't fucking know that it was made like not long ago.
It was made in response to the civil rights movement. It was made
exactly.
It was meant to counter the progressive.
It was the Tucker Carlson Tucker of the time.
Yeah.
The intellectual racist. That's what I'm starting to call these fucking people, because I'm not a Republican, and I agree with a lot of these fucking guys. And you know what's the new sinister one? Is the black conservative. Not some black conservatives are legit, I get you, but the ones that are on TV, like Candace Owens and things like that, I have to say, there's a terminology called Uncle Tom. And it feels like they're making their money off of like fucking with their own kind. And there's something so sinister. And they're very intellectual, and they say these things. They do these talking points. And I mean, from a logical stance, it is true, but you are kind of shitting on your own race, in the sense that, like okay, for instance, when the great Mr. Floyd died, I mean, yes, he had a criminal history. Yes, some shit went down. What happened to him was wrong. And you have people like Candace Owens, who's black and a female, which makes her 10 times more powerful because she's that minority plus a female, extra minority. So she's winning on the Olympics of demographics, right? The woke demographic here. If only she was transgender too. And Muslim. No, she says, yeah, he did, it was cocaine, and she just shits on this guy. She goes, yeah, he has cocaine in his pocket, and that's when it escalates and all that shit, right? But she goes, like, what happened was wrong, but then it's like a sneeze. Achoo, it was wrong. And then goes into how fucked up he was. And then, like, tries to defend, you know, the guy who used the stun gun? You know, like, she's like, oh, yeah, that guy, you know, he was bad, too, because he hit his children and everything. He still didn't deserve to die, and neither did the thing. And I think that what's happening is, one, she's profiting on this whole, you know, so the racist can say, I'm not racist. And it's showing something, though. It's showing that there is a thing that's wrong. The police are wrong doing the things that they're doing. And what we're doing is the bait and switch, right? We're saying it's a racist thing and things like that. No, we have an entity out there that we created that's bad. A system that we've created that's fucked up and has no real accountability. I mean, it does some good, but it has some bad aspects too. They have the ability to suspend your civil liberties and to cover it up.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say it's a conspiracy. It's just like I can just see a person who makes a pizza and instead of wearing gloves, touches it with his hand and says, yeah, I was wearing a glove at the time.
And everybody else will back him up and say, yeah, I saw him. He was wearing gloves.
Exactly. But now it's a different thing. I've detained you. You're sitting on a fucking bus stop, and I decided, you know what? Fuck you. Respect my authority. And
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
you know, and because like read the thing. He hit your hand. Why is he hitting your hand?
You can see it in the video. This is.
No, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I get it. It's a rhetorical
They're
question.
just
Yeah.
going report, you know, and then like they're getting tons and tons of these reports, and they're just like, yeah, you're good, you're good. But we've created this entity that is terrible, and because we turned it into a race thing, we're just like we're stuck. And yes, race does exist. This racism exists, but we're stuck because the real thing, the real threat, the real bad guy is the police, and I'm pro cop. So it's a weird thing because I know cops. I know a lot of cops.
Yeah, I know some cops.
And literally, I will die for them. But I mean, like, you do have the power to fuck me over. And if I were to say something, even if I have your badge number and say something, it's gonna go into the complaint desk and go nowhere.
Yeah, who knows if anybody ever gonna look at it or whatever, because they're not.
Yeah.
They're not interested in checking policing themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there are some ties to racism because there's a lot of numbers to back up over policing of minorities. But then, okay.
You don't know when. Okay, go ahead. Finish your point.
It's because part of it is, I mean, and again, I'm looking at this from a scientific point of view, and trying to crunch numbers here. How much of it is okay? Do minorities are minorities being over policed, and like is the magnifying glass on them tighter, or is it that they're in situations based on socioeconomic pressures where they're going to make poorer decisions because of lower education and less access to resources? So are they more in a spot where they need to do desperate things? They need to self-medicate, and get on drugs to forget about their shitty situation, their shitty lot in life, which is systematic. So how much of it is, they're committing crimes versus the system is set up to get them to commit crimes. Like the cop grabbing the black guy, and the black guy slapping him away.
I hear you.
But across the entire spectrum, in the system, built in.
I have to say, it's more than racism itself. I mean, because you have racist, I don't know, pizza delivery people, racist doctors, racist anything, right? That's gonna exist. What happens is, though, it's who's fucking you over the most. And you got a system in place that if there's racism in there, that they can fuck you over. Now, if we were to fix that system, it wouldn't matter as much because we're not arguing about racist doctors.
Right.
We're not arguing about racist teachers, and they all exist. Yeah. There are racist teachers. There's racist doctors. There's racist gamers. There's racist, all this shit. There's racist anywhere. But what are we really pissed about? Racist cops. And that, I mean, they exist, but it's a system in place. And the cops is just so happens to be a thing that's there. And you're not going to get rid of racism, but so we got to fix the system in place. I think that's
law enforcement is, like you said before, they have the power to suspend your civil liberties.
Yeah.
That's racist teachers, racist gamers, yeah, okay, but it's the people that get to act on that racism.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that can affect you.
Exactly. And like, it's a thing in which where people like get caught up in like, there were some black people there. Racism is a thing that is a thought process that shouldn't be, because it's a disease. I could be racist against my own Asian kind. You could be racist against Mexican. Black people could be racist against Mexican. Asian people could be racist. Yeah, exactly. Everyone could be racist against everything, And the thing here is that there is a system in place that could suspend your civil liberties, and that's what we need to fix. And the problem is we're not. We're shifting the blame to other things, like it's the chokehold. We need to work on the chokehold.
Yeah, I'd like to see the numbers on how many people die in the chokehold
Like
when it's done properly. When it's done properly.
no, exactly. The chokehold he did was illegal.
It's not. Yeah, it's not even. They don't train that. It's
Yeah.
not. It's
The
not a thing.
the chokehold that Eric Gardner died of, that's not a thing.
Right.
So if you make chokeholds illegal, what are you really making illegal? Like,
The police officer I know, he's in charge of some of the training that goes on, and like the holds and all that, the technique. And his feeling was that they're kind of taking away their ability to deal with somebody that might be like on bath salts or something.
Yeah.
Somebody that might be just completely way out there.
dude, you're so fucking right. I mean, like, if you're on PCP or whatever drug and you're having a fucking attack, dude, what you get a reason with an animal? Because that's what they are at that time.
And you can't tase them. I mean, you can try, but it's not going to work all the time.
Yeah, because human beings are powerful beings. With adrenaline and everything, they can move past anything if they have the right drug in them.
Now, I mean, so I'm kind of not too down with just eliminating the carotid restraint, but at the same time training them to where that's not their go-to thing. It's like, here's a ticket, you're not going to sign it, carotid restraint.
Well, hear you. That's a different kind of thing, though. It's like we're shifting blame because, like,
yeah, it wasn't the hold that killed him. It was the officer that decided to do it that way, and for that amount of time. Outside of the
did. Like, yeah, it was like a $20 bill. He's gonna kill him, like not kill him, but choke him out. Like the other guy, the stun dude. I forgot Brooks. He uses a stun gun against him, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And like I seen people try to defend this. They're like, "Well, he could have had a gun." Wait, what?
They had already been with them for like 30-something minutes. I think they had already searched him.
Yeah,
like they knew what he had and what he didn't have.
Yeah, I mean, like, and
the back,
dude, like, people aren't understanding de-escalation, man. I mean, like, what's the worst case scenario? This fucking guy who's drunk is gonna go home, and you already have his name. I mean, yeah, I know he's gonna go to jail for life. That's what's gonna happen. But I mean, you just wait. Time is on your side.
Yeah.
And they're just killing these fucking people.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah, dude, you like optics, right? You're a murderer.
Oh, there are more cases of that shit right now. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah, dude.
How is this not in the front of your brain? How brazen can you be to think you can do this shit?
If I'm a thief, right, and people were getting caught for stealing, I don't think to myself, "Oh, this is the perfect time to steal." Like I'm like, no, like that's what what, and that's what's not being articulated. Here you are. There's riots everywhere. Fucking people are going crazy about people being murdered and shit, and you decide to shoot another person behind the back. That means that you decided what this shit is doesn't matter. Optics mean everything.
Well, it's like, was it those 40-something cops in Buffalo that resigned from their unit? They're still cops, but they're not part of that tactical unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still cops. They weren't brave enough to give up their paychecks, but they were brave enough to ditch this one unit, right?
Yeah.
To defend those dudes that pushed that dude and gave him fucking brain damage.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's just like, again, like you said, optics.
Optics, yeah, exactly.
What are you saying to the community?
Yeah.
As a police force, you just said, we don't give a fuck about using excessive force. We're all about it. If anything, we're willing to quit our jobs to defend somebody else that fucked this dude for life. Over what?
Yeah.
People protest.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal where people are pissed off that you're killing people. And so you decide to shoot a dude in the back who's running away from you because he shot a stun gun at you. And you knew that. And that means to me, it shows me, like, just like when Floyd died, it showed me, you people who are watching this, cops are watching this, you do this so much that this isn't really a thing that bothers you. And so when Homeboy was running away, you kill people so much that this doesn't bother you.
That's there's something scary right here, right? We might be conflating the act of the few that have decided to basically not heed, common sense.
I agree.
But let's pretend that cops are human beings. Hey, just like you said, oh shit, everybody's stealing, now's not the good time to steal. So what if most of the cops have actually like kind of they decided to put a pause on their abuse of power, and really what we're seeing right now is just the tip of the iceberg.
I could see that.
What if it's actually much more widespread than this? The only thing is right now everybody's taking their cameras out, and every interaction with a cop now, because they don't trust cops anymore, they need to take their phones out and start recording everything right now, because the visibility is now much higher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The mistrust is there. The fact that there's so much more, let me take my phone out and record this, is just showing that the trust is eroding, and they're not doing anything to help it, especially in these cases where, again, they just keep abusing their power.
It's I think it's not racism does exist. I don't think it's as prevalent as the media would presume, but I do think we do have to fix the system in place. And you're not going to fix racism. You're just not. But you're going to fix the system, and that's what they should do. And
well, and I think taking down the statues, taking down monuments, I think that helps in reducing the education of racism. The education of racist values, because again, they're not being celebrated anymore.
I agree.
I put you on a pedestal like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Little Steve at 8 years old looking at the statue, and his little racist dad is like, yeah, that's a hero. But I really do think that the teaching should be, we should never forget who these people are.
It's hard to phase it out if they're still celebrating, is what I'm saying.
I agree.
So, but you're right. People that are racist now, you kind of got to give up on them.
Oh, of course.
You got to give up on them. You got to wait for them to die.
Yes, race. Yeah,
pass that on to the next generation. The system, though, that is something we can change right now through legislation. Through I think Trump did some kind of executive order today, maybe an hour before we got on. A police reform. He did an executive order, basically assigning just bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. An executive order doesn't do anything at the ground level. You know what I'm saying?
Education will win in the end. I think your field is more important than police. I think that if they were to divest, because defunding the police is a stupid term, but divest. Instead of investing in cops, they should invest in your field, my friend. Teaching, because the teaching of the young, I know that you, without even funding, you're doing it. I can guarantee, because I'm doing it. I'm not that person, but I'm like there. And when I hear people say shit like, oh yeah, the mask doesn't fix corona, and I'm like, well, actually, this is what's going on. I don't mind if you die, but I'm just saying that, because that's how I am. Like, I don't care. This world could just die. I don't care. I'm sorry. And this is how I am. But I'm saying, like, I understand the concept of the science. If I wear a mask and you wear a mask, we can't spread it to each other, But if you don't wear a mask, we're fucked.
Right. Or we reduce the likelihood of it,
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers game.
Dude, the numbers are out there. But also with cops, I mean, you're not going to get rid of racism. But you know what you can fix is how cops do things.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be working to. And generally, in all these Confederate fucks, the statues that were made in the 70s to combat civil rights, that should be highlighted extremely. Not this back in the 1700s or 1800s. That's when we made this shit. We didn't make those then. We did that. No. We combat fucking civil rights. That's what they're for. That should be fucking education. That's what you right there, I'm pointing at you, you don't see it. But you, my friend, should be invested in. more people like you should be invested in, and cops should not be invested in. I don't want to say that though. Training, lots of training.
Training.
Train.
There's a big thing that everybody keeps saying: a few bad apples, a few bad apples. The problem with that is apples. In this case, the apples can see what the other apples are doing and should be calling them out on their shit. You know, the apples should be able to. You know, the cops should not just be sitting there like, okay, you're gonna be a bad apple. Go ahead and be a bad apple. No, you don't get to be a bad apple. You don't get to stay with this department. You know, I'm gonna call you out on your shit, or I'm gonna do whatever I can to kind of judo you away from violating people's rights.
You know what? This can be achieved because if you think about it right now, if you were to put a fucking wig on and say you identify as a female, you have more power than anyone there. I know you're never going to do that. But I'm saying, like, okay, say me. If I put a wig on, I could say I want an extra bathroom. I'm pretty confident I get that extra bathroom. I mean, if one person could put a fucking wig on and a dress and dictate what they want because of how it is, so change can be happened. I don't know how I'm saying it.
There's some race in that too. Dave Chappelle kind of nailed it.
846 or
I haven't watched that yet. No, but it's something that he said before. I think it was Sticks and Stones.
Six Stones.
He said, why was it more difficult, or no, why was it easier for Jenner to change gender than it was for Muhammad Ali to change his own name?
He's so right. I love that man. He's my hero.
Because and there's starting to become this this black trans movement that's coming out, right? But that's because yeah,
that's a thing.
Well, there's this I'm gonna say guy or girl because Tony McDade, I think his last name was McDade. He was a trans. Something went down. He got jumped by this group of dudes, right? He sometimes identified as female, but sometimes he referred to himself as Tony. That's why I'm saying, you know, I'm not trying to disrespect him in death or anything like that, but I mean, the dude kind of like was fluid, if anything. So this guy Tony was jumped, attacked. So then he went and got a knife and then stabbed one of his attackers to death. The cops chased him, and I think they killed him, right? The circumstances, I mean, I haven't seen all the evidence or anything from it, but it was another time. This happened after George Floyd, right? This is recent.
Of course.
So now it's coming out, you know, like now they're killing black trans people. So now there's a black trans movement. But what I'm trying to say is that the LGBTQ plus movement, mostly driven by white people, you know, because there's more white people that are out of the closet.
I agree. I get you. I get
numbers.
White men.
And so since there's more numbers there, they get more attention.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you just said it. Dave Chappelle highlighted it. You know, Bruce Jenner, hey, yeah, want to change gender? Okay, boom. I said Bruce because I can't remember her name right now.
Caitlyn
Jenner, change her gender. Easy as pie, you know, didn't get a whole lot of shit for it. The way they put her on magazine covers and all that stuff. But Muhammad Ali just want to change his name.
You know, I love Dave Chappelle. I'd spoon with him. But I let him spoon with me. I love that guy. But different times.
Different time, yes.
If Kanye wanted to be Kanye Muhammad Ali, done.
But there's still tinges of racism in there, though.
Yeah, no, he's conflating things, and he does that. You know, I love Dave Chappelle to death, but he does do that. He conflates arguments of things that I love him. I'm not gonna lie, but he does do that. Like Muhammad Ali in that time, and Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner.
Those are two different times. You know. Black people can marry white people, you know. Back then, they couldn't, you know. Yes, you know. I mean, that's a thing. So when he conflates that, But that's what he does, and racism exists, but that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is there's a system in place that just, for whatever reason, we're moving towards a direction that doesn't exist for the system. Like, I think people will culturally go towards a direction, but we need to fix the system in place first before we start moving the culture. The culture is going to move. It just is. Obviously, we don't have slaves. Kinda. We kind of do still, but we'll get there eventually. In fact, I think the thing that we have now are slaves, like prisoners.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people with low economic standing, people who smoke weed and they go to jail, and now they're fucking working for pennies on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Slaves. We have people right now picking goddamn strawberries, and they're fucking slaves. But we can't focus on them because we're focused on people who are Americans who are actually above those people, and they're getting killed.
Well, what happened with the opioid crisis too?
What?
You know, what happened with the opioid crisis? They had a problem with it because it was affecting white people.
Exactly. I agree.
Not so much that it was affecting poor people, because, you know, society's kind of set up to keep the poor people medicated,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And, oh shit, it's starting to happen to our kids. Fuck, now we need to fix it. Now we need to pay attention and pass all these laws and shit like that.
Exactly.
Oh, and they're victims. The kids and the people that were suffering from the opioid crisis, they're victims. You know, they need to be understood and they need to be treated. You know, they need to be helped.
You know that A46 Dave Chappelle special. When I saw it like literally because I never really sleep, and I always am on YouTube.
I'll probably watch when I get off right now.
I saw the Netflix. It says Netflix special A46 Dave Chappelle, and I clicked on it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I didn't know. I thought it would be funny, but he goes in on this tangent on fucking Floyd, and everything he said was right to a point, but it does help. It does not help, actually, because there's a system in place that's there to hurt people. And the fact that you turn it into a racist thing, then we're confused and we're talking about racism. But goddamn, Ebert, you could have been that guy could have had his fucking knee on you.
Yeah.
But like, if you fix that system, that would protect everybody. But yeah, the racism does exist, and that's a thing. But you're not gonna fix that. You're just not. You're gonna fix the system. You know, in the sense that body cams, and we've argued about this. In fact, it's funny we're bringing this up. I loaded all the Facebook, all the podcasts or the vodcasts that we had. I loaded them on podcast on SoundCloud, so it's on iTunes. If you guys like, subscribe. But I had to listen to all of them to check the audio quality, and I've heard the arguments between you and I, and they're intense. When we think about this shit, we are intense. And I noticed something. Zoom does a thing where we can't interrupt each other.
Oh, really?
If you talk and I talk, it'll mute.
It mutes. So, like, if I'm talking, you can't cut in on me talking?
Mutual destruction. We both mute each other out, so the point's mute.
So we should just yell at each other more often now.
For some reason, we can carry on hearing each other, but when we were very passionate about what the fuck we were talking about. I was about the body cams, and you were trying to defend how body cams aren't a thing. Not a thing, but like how like it would trample civil liberties and things like that. And we were just going back and forth, but we would interrupt each other, and it would just.
But see, we're able to have that discussion though.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And
No, you could tell there's an intensity to you and I, like we're talking about shit, but it's not like we're gonna kill each other. You know what I mean? But it was more of a thing in which Zoom.
But I think also when we talk to each other, I think we get to modify our own understandings, and therefore our own views. You know,
not that subject.
Not change each other's minds. I'm not saying that.
True.
But offer a different perspective that maybe we hadn't thought of before.
Yeah.
So you actually get to fine tune what you're saying, because sometimes like defund the police. it's too there's not enough there, you know, and it can be interpreted so many different ways. But if you talk about it, then you get to fine tune it to what it actually means and what it should actually be.
It's good to have a conversation about these things. It really is, because like you hear about people tearing these statues down, and I really haven't heard a vocalized point to it. It's not like I'm defending these fucking statues. They're fucking boring because I know where they come from, right? They're a direct opposition to a civil rights movement.
Right.
But there is a thing that should be taught about that, because for now it's easy, black and white. That shit's not going to exist forever. Understand that.
Right.
We're going to argue about other shit, ideologies, and that's going to be scary, because a Mexican, a black guy, an Asian person, a white guy talking about ideology.
No, my thoughts about, you know, removing monuments and stuff like that is to prevent future racism.
No, I'm down for removing them.
Because obviously a lot of people kind of grew up and they weren't given the context.
Of course.
They weren't given the context, and so now they're part of society. Now they get to vote, you know, and they get to counter protest. I don't know if you saw any of the videos of the counter protests happening, and they're starting to get fucking crazy. One guy got sucker punched in front of a cop, dude.
Seen that?
Well, like, you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's all, "Hey, I just got hit in the back of the head," and the cop started yelling at him.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm like, God damn. What can you do?
This is getting radicalized, but I think that it's getting hijacked by people saying it's a race thing. But in reality, it is and it isn't.
It's both. It's both. It's the system. Well, it's a lot of different things. It's the system. It's the racists that are working within the system. You know, a system that can amplify their voice and their power over minorities. It's socioeconomics. It's a lot of
things. I want it to be this. If Tyrone gets his the statue gets taken down, I ask, why was this good? And he can explain to me, because of, you know, this shit was made in the 70s and da-da-da-da-da, you know, and then his kids know, and his kids know, I'm okay with that. But if you say, oh, because it's racist, why is it racist? Well, because it was made in the 1600s. What?
No, yeah, a lot of people aren't going to know that.
No, I know that's.
But being able to say it's racist, it is racist.
It is.
You know, but I mean that's a valid answer though.
No, because like what's going to happen is it's going to be replaced by a new word. If you don't understand how this shit was created and the process of thinking that goes this direction, repeat it in a different way.
There's that, Kev, but there's a lot of people that they don't give a shit.
Oh, I agree.
They're not going to read about it. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to look into it. They just know this thing needs to go.
No, but that's why you're important. You, right there, I'm pointing at you again. You're important because you're an educator. And I know that you're good and your students will be good forever. And I know that anyone who comes under your wing, they will be good forever because I know you. But it's not you. The system. The system needs to be fixed, where they need to learn these processes of thinking. Right now, 100 years from now, they're going to say, what pieces of shit would put someone in prison for fucking having a bad childhood? Because, like, you can rape 10 different people, you know, because your dad raped you or whatever the fuck happened to you as a child. And because you were touched in a certain way and triggered at that age, then you grew up to repeat those patterns. The future us who have learned all of this will judge us accordingly and say, how could they have imprisoned these fucking people? How dare they imprison this murderer who killed like 90 children or raped them because he was done this way? Right now, we're judging hundreds of years of people who like enslaved people because that's what their world was. That's what they did. Right now, we're killing people left and right in California, death penalty wise, of murdering like children and things like that. But in reality, it's really because of how they grew up and all this other bullshit, right?
There's usually a why, yeah.
There is.
Evil.
There is. But 100 years from now, those future generations are going to judge us accordingly and say, how dare those fucking people did. And hopefully we've learned to teach people these processes of thinking to get to that level rather than just judging us. You know, I don't care if they judge us. I'm just saying we're no better back then than we are 100 years from now if we don't learn this whole aspect of the why they're doing this. The guy who's racist isn't racist because he just was born racist. It's because he grew up that way. You saw this fucking statue of, was it Lee, and was like, yeah, that fucking guy, you know, my hero. You know, that's not how it happened. It was his dad pushed that shit, his social economic section, you know, all that.
It's another thing, though. You know, it's another variable that exists within the system. You know.
Yeah.
Taking out the monuments, it's a part of it. You know. Now melting them down and destroying them, I don't think that should happen. I think I hadn't thought of that idea of putting them in a museum. I think that's a good idea. You know, you put them somewhere not to celebrate them.
Of never celebrate it.
No, not to celebrate them. Not a museum of like, hey, celebration of, you know, Heroes of the South. You don't call it that. You call it like the Museum of Cautionary Tales or something. I don't know.
You got to learn from Hitler, not become him.
Right. Oh shit, dude. It's not, I don't want to say I enjoy it. There's an interest in studying who he was and how that came about, because how was he able to influence so many people to do so many bad things?
Now, a president came out and said, I want you to murder every Asian person that there is. That's not going to happen. But if there's a system in place, things that are happening, that can happen. And
all these little variables, all these little things, all these things.
We learn that. Yeah. Because right now that can happen to us. Because thinking
I take a high interest in studying him, learning about him, watching every documentary that I can watch about him. And I'm going to put a fucking Hitler statue on my goddamn, you know, my piano or a poster or something, right? And just stare at it, you know. Oh, I know. I do not admire the man.
Okay? No, you learn. Learn to be medieval.
How did he do that? So that we won't do it again.
Exactly. And then the same thing with these generals who thought to themselves, you know what? I could, you know, fight against slavery, but I'm going to fight for slavery. You know, things like this, like Tucker Carlson. How am I going to argue for, like, oh yeah, sure, I'm against this whole kneeling on his knee, but he was a bad guy and riots are bad. You know, like just a footnote. He's literally a knee note, you know, the Floyd. And let's talk about the riots. You know, you're missing the fucking message. You know, I'm not pro riot, but I mean, there is something that's happening and for a reason. And it gets glossed over. These fucking, it's either white people or the black conservatives who are just trying to, like, the Hodge. There's the Hodge twins, and then there's Candace Owens. There's a couple other black people trying to make it. They're fucking even worse, dude, because they're like trying to, like, I don't know, what's the word? Intellectualize why this was a good thing, you know? And what they do is they give the easy thing. Yeah, what happened to Floyd was bad, but
yeah, they shouldn't put a but in there. There shouldn't be a but.
Yeah, this guy, he did this. He kneeled on this dude's neck. Or like he had drugs out. The guy who shot the taser. Oh yeah. He abused his kids and shit like that. So it makes it all right. That's what you're telling me.
That's that's a lot of people lying to themselves too.
No, they're making.
Because they don't want to believe that could happen to them.
Oh, it won't happen to them. If I'm making money off of black people and conservatives by saying that. Well, there's no such thing as racism and bullshit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to Floyd was his fault because he does all these bad things. And what happened to...
Yeah, but when they leave, you know, OAN building or Fox News building or whatever, they're still African American out in the street again.
Yeah, but they're not African American like African American in Minnesota. Their kids are in like La Jolla.
Different. Yeah, it is different, but
No, what's happening to them is not happening to them in La Jolla.
right.
And that's for people who don't understand. La Jolla is California's or San Diego's rich area.
Yeah, like Rodeo Drive or Beverly Hills.
Yes, I mean, when you're rich at that level, you're outside of that fucking thing. So I'm pretty sure Candace Owens' kid isn't going to the. I know that, and on the other side of the fence, Dave Chappelle's kids aren't going to fucking Detroit, Michigan schools and shit like that. Like they're not going to any ghetto schools. So it's like it's a weird thing where your kids are obviously not going to these ghetto schools, you know, and you're talking on the behest of other people,
Right.
or suffering.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't give them weight anyways, but having them there also makes people feel better about their point of views because it's like, look, there's a black guy and they're agreeing with me, so it's okay.
I know a lot of fucking white racist people who are like, fuck, these people say I'm not racist. I believe in these people. But they're pretty much shitting on their own kind only because they're a novelty, you know, because
there's this thing that I hadn't thought of, but yeah, there's people that think that they're not racist because they don't use the N-word, you know, or because they have, you know, a friend that is, you know, this color or that color or whatever.
Classic whiteness,
but
right?
Then when they break down their decisions, they're racist. But they don't recognize it because their definition of racism,
you know what's weird?
Is narrow.
We're not even black. We're like left out of this whole fucking conversation. I'm a Filipino. You're a Mexican. And well, there's more Mexicans there are blacks in America. But we're not even in part of this equation. We were when it was like build a wall, but we're not even part of any of this. But we can see what's wrong. In the sense because we're outside looking in. Because I don't have a minority. It's not like I didn't get that job because of this. I didn't do this because of that. I'm not that guy, you know? I'm not inside that kind of racist territory, you know what I mean? But dude, but I get judged accordingly, you know? And so do you, depending on where you're going, you know what I mean? But we're not there with the black people, and they got at least a community to go to, you know what I mean? And if outside looking in, man, the optics don't look good. There's a system in racism can't be stopped. It can't. But the outlook can. And I'll tell you what. I said this in another podcast. Racism, and we got conflated with our shame talk. But it's a thing where there's racists now who were like racist and said, you know, I don't want this person because they're black. Now say, I don't like this person because of, and they have to dig because they didn't tip or they didn't do this shit. But they're still racist. 10 years ago, there was no difference, but now they're like, well, I'm not. Yeah, I like black people. No, you literally said you didn't like black people. You know, and that's only because time has changed. Shame is a thing. Those fucking idiots who are like, oh, I fucking hate black people, can't say that shit anymore. So they gotta hide.
And it's a lot harder to act on it too. So
yeah, just be, I hate black people. You can't say that.
Or they have to say, yeah, this, but you know, they had done these other things too.
Yeah, that's the new thing now. Is you have a lot of Fox News fucking people saying, but blah 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 blah, but, and that irritates the fuck out of me, especially like Tucker Carlson guy.
Yeah, I mean, we can do things to discourage racism. I think that's where the monuments and education comes in. But the system, and I think the system is rigged more against socioeconomic pressures as well.
Yeah. Agree with you. You keep you keep pushing a system that actually is a thing. There's a reason why, like, if you're poor, you're treated a certain way, and then you do a certain kind of thing. And you, throughout 4 podcasts that I've listened to, you keep bringing that up because you teach people at that level. And because it's not just black, because you're in California, because it's a melting pot, you get an understanding of, you're working with poor people, and yes, black people are poor. And so that's why it's a thing in which we're like, it's racist this, racist that. It really is poor people are getting fucked.
Yeah.
And no one's getting that. In
Because
fact, even me.
within the same district, you see resources that other schools have that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working Title I school, and I can see, and it's not, sometimes it's not even based on the district and how the district is spending its money. It's just, you see the areas and you see that it's, single income family, which means that there's always a parent at home, that during these times right now, during quarantine, can actually enforce whether or not their kids are going online, to attend their online classes and stuff. I'm working with either families that have 2 incomes or families that only have one parent, and that parent's working all the time. And the parent maybe has a high school diploma, probably doesn't have a college background, and so doesn't know their way around the online platform or whatever this and that. Yeah, maybe they know Facebook or social media and stuff, but that's what they do to unwind. They don't have that energy, or they want to trust their kids when their kids say, yeah, I did my homework. When it's a flat out fucking lie. But kids are kids. Kids are going to do what kids do. And that's why we have school, and that's why we have rules about school, and we have, expectations and all that stuff, because we're trying to kind of rein in our base impulses when we're kids, to kind of just want to run free and try to get them to learn and get ready for the future. The problem is the system is rigged against them, and I'm working in a system that's rigged against them, but I'm trying not to perpetuate it, in a way that would hurt them. I'm trying to teach my kids that they have to set a goal and then figure out what they have to do to reach that goal, because it's not going to be a given. They're not going to have, a trust fund to lean on, or their parents aren't always going to be able to provide that parachute for them. They need to be able to make a plan, and when it's not working out, troubleshoot what's not working here, what's not going right, instead of just saying, well, this is where I am, this is where I'm going to be, so I'm just going to accept it and I can just do whatever makes me feel good right now.
I have to say that the who you are is a very important thing, because any other person would probably, and most people kind of go in this direction. They kind of just they phone it in. They just kind of do whatever. I work at a fucking pizza place now because I'm in Michigan, and the job's pretty fucking easy. Working pizza. You like it clean. You can do this, but you hear like individuals say something to the effect of like, "Oh, this shit sucks," and blah blah blah. And that's what most people do. They get stuck in these jobs that they don't want to be in, and they just collect the paycheck. You, however, in particular, are the individual who's awake. Like Dune, the sleeper is awakened. You are a person who is awoke in the truest of sense. Woke has become a word that's like the N-word almost. You're an actual person who is awake. When you're teaching your kids, you're actually trying to teach your kids, not from like a point of 1 + 1 is 2, but why is 1 + 1 is 2? Apple plus apple is 2. You're trying to give them actual, and this is true. This is fucking true. It's not like I'm in your class to know this. I know because of what I know of you is you're not an individual who just does his job just to do it. You're actually trying to educate these kids in real ways. COVID-19 aside, like I get it. You got the internet and whatever. But when you're actually teaching kids, I could tell you're from a standpoint of, hey, look, this is how it's supposed to be. Look, the world is like this. And I could see you seeding actual reality into them.
Yeah, I don't share too much of like me growing up, and all the stuff that about, I don't start sharing that. School starts in July. I don't really start opening up until February, you know.
That's with everybody though. Like I don't tell people.
But I do drip feed them, you know, some of my vulnerabilities to build that trust. And then when I lay it on them that, that I grew up where they grew up, that I've experienced similar loss, you know, um, it has more power because when they meet me, they think, oh, this guy, he had perfect life his whole life, and he probably got both of his parents still, and this and that, blah blah. They'll make all their assumptions, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. By the end, I've actually taught them not to assume anything about anyone,
Yes,
even themselves, because they're assuming that the hand that they've been dealt is that's it, and that they can't try to modify their cards or try to fix their cards in a way to get them to the next level, you know. And one that comes up is just a little insight here on my approach when we talk about evolution in the classroom, right? And without fail, there's always somebody each year that talks about, well, my religion taught me something different. And I tell them, well, it's important to understand, different viewpoints and look at evidence, and I'm not trying to destroy religion. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong for believing what you believe, but it is important to understand, you know, all of the evidence that comes with, the study of evolution. And so, I try to assign value to their values while also adding another value, a value of understanding and investigation and open-mindedness as well.
it's funny that you teach the way that you do, because I don't even need to be in your class to understand that, because you're the teacher that I would have and then think about for years to come. And I don't think that's an ego thing. I don't think that's a thing that you do on, like, you just do because you want admiration. You want to be, when you die, you just do it because it's the who you are. You just want to give your all to something. And I have to say, uh, that's a beautiful thing. It truly is. And you're shaping the minds of these people that are, and that's what is important for all these people who are like racist and not racist and things like that. They're going to get a teacher who kind of understands them. I'm like that too. Like when I'm talking to somebody, I don't tell them anything about me. I don't say, yeah, this is who I am. I am just who I am. But if they ask questions later on, because that's what happens naturally, you just do what you do. And then normally over time, they were like, so what about this and that? And you just be honest with them. And they're just like, what the fuck? And then this guy is like this. And then they're just like, well, I guess there's.
Or you demonstrate your values. You don't tell them, you show them.
Exactly. Like, just like religion. Like, you can't just say, believe in Jesus. You got to be who you are.
We always start out the year by having the kids share what they're into, and I make notes and I ask them questions. They're presenting in front of the class, and I'll ask them questions and stuff. And it's video games or cars or places or family or friends or whatever, and I'll dig in a little bit, and then I always try to hold that somewhere. I don't know how, but I can do it. And so when they start acting out, when they start making some decisions and doing stuff that, is detrimental to the classroom, makes my job harder as a teacher or whatever, I usually take them aside, and not disrespect them in front of their friends, and ask them, hey, what's going on? You're not usually like this. Sometimes I'll flex using the authority as a teacher or whatever. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I could write a referral and call your parents, send you to the office and blah, blah, blah. I'd rather just figure it out here, so that we don't got to go through all that. And you can keep learning and I can keep teaching, and that's the extent of me flexing my authority, is basically saying, hey, we could do it. We could go that way, but that pretty much takes it out of my hands and puts it in other people's hands, or we could try to keep it here. And I don't write referrals. I think I wrote this year. I think I wrote one referral, and that was because the school year got shortened. But it's
But
usually some
during
kid
COVID-19, you wrote a referral. Like, you bitch, you didn't fucking get on.
that no, like before. It's I don't even remember what it was for. If I even had to write one, it's usually something crazy like you know somebody like straight up
You
injured
have to
somebody.
explain. You do not have to explain
Whatever.
why you did a referral. I get it. You're in good hands. I mean, well, not you are in good hands, but the students that you have are in good hands. And we all talk about the teacher we all learned from, right? We all say, well, there was this one sixth grade teacher, or there was seventh grade, or there was this eighth grade, or this ninth grade teacher, or my 12th grade teacher. Fuck. Sometimes we even forget the grade. And we're like, oh, yeah, Mr. Pergopple, or Mr. Bob, or Mr. Zah, or whatever. We're like, that person, you know, affected me. And you know what? Shit. When we both started out, I wanted to be a teacher too. You just stuck with it. And I just ran out of money. I'll just keep going. I'll just go to the Navy. And that kind of moved me this way. But ever since then, I've been trying to not be like you in the sense, but always try to guide people off my past experiences, And yeah, long story short, I will be that teacher, not your teacher, not like what you do, but like say X-ray or a medical assistant or something like that down the road. I will be that teacher, and I won't be teaching what we do, life experience, and that's what you do, and that's what's important.
But there's something else, and this kind of goes to this system problem, right? Because I think we also remember the teachers that made life difficult for us. And those teachers also leave a lasting impact. I'm not the only teacher that these kids visit. They have 5 or 6 other teachers that also affect them in their day. And sometimes me working with them at, period 6 is a challenge because somebody fucked with them during period 3. And I don't know if you hear it, but I get upset,
Yeah.
right? That there's teachers out there that don't teach with compassion, that actually trigger these kids almost on purpose.
Because it's a
pull wings off of flies,
Yeah.
just to be cruel. And it's like, why? Because now you fucked up the rest of that kid's day. So period 4 teacher has to deal with it. Period 5 teacher has to deal with it. Period 6 teacher has to deal with it. Then there's teachers in periods 5 and 6 that don't think about that. Maybe this kid actually showed up with a good attitude today and somebody else messed him up. They start thinking that's how this kid is all the damn time, because every time they show up to my period 5 class, they're acting this way.
Without sucking too much dick, I'm just saying, like, that what you do, it makes sense because
No.
I don't.
The frustrating thing is, though, Kev, you would think that all teachers should think like this, and they don't.
I know. Fuck, I know. No, it's not teachers. It's people too. In every facet of career. It's like you were trained at an epic level, I don't know, between you and me and our friends, to think outside the box, to think on the other side of the argument, because you're coming from a stance of understanding. So like here you got the teachers, the students, and then they do some shit, and you don't think to yourself, oh, that guy's a piece of shit. You think to yourself, what happened? What made him a piece of shit today me right now?
I remember somebody was a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, was talking shit to me, right? And I kept trying to remove myself from the situation to the point where I grabbed him and I threatened to kick his ass. Then he went and talked to you guys, and you guys did the same thing. You guys, well, what did you do, or what happened? Because that's not in his character. But it's because you guys already had gotten to know me.
Yeah.
That's where the compassion comes in, getting to know each other first. And that's why we always start the year off with this project.
For real. If Adrian would like fucking put his fist into you, I'd be like, what the fuck? What happened? I would literally fly back to California to fuck both of you up. to understand.
Yeah, because I probably did something.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, it's really a thing in which, like, okay, if my kid does something, and this is how I am now, it is through our friendship that this is a thing, where his obviously I didn't have a parent, like, so I'm like if something happens, I go, but why did you do that? Oh, okay, but why? And like and just like little things like my kid thinks that it's like the end of the world, right? Like he'll fuck something up and be like, oh shit, I'm like, look, bro, I don't give a fuck, dude. I just want to know why you did it. Oh, okay, this is why you did it. Oh, okay, let's not do. I don't even care about the other. I don't care what happened. I care why it happened, and then how to fix it. And then that's how it is. And then when you say something to the effect of like, I fucked this dude up, I'll be like, why? Oh, okay. I need to know all aspects of an argument. And same thing with teaching. Let's get back to you. And when you're teaching, that's who you are. You're not like, oh, this kid doesn't do good at math. You think to yourself, why didn't he do good math today? Is it school? Is it home? And that's what you have to combat, dude. Seriously, that's a real thing. You could be the perfect being. Doesn't matter. They have to go home. They have to go home. That's the way it is.
There's some kids though. I mean, they'll tell you straight up. They'll be like, "So what do you need?" I need a father.
Yeah.
And they don't even need to say it. You know what they need.
The fact that they say that is pretty intuitive, but the fact that other people probably don't even know it, that they need a father. Or, hey, I hate to say it, but I need to stop being raped. I mean, like, there's a level there that you don't want to touch. I mean, that's you. But I know how I would be. I would know that this person, there's some shit going on, but I don't want to open that door.
There's some people that don't want to know. There's some people that don't want to know. And that's where you get,
that's where I'm at.
That's where you get people justifying and saying, yeah, that shouldn't have happened, but because they don't want to acknowledge that they're on the side of the system that actually works for them. They're not on the side of the system that's working against them.
What?
They have to find a way to justify it by saying, yeah, but you know what? They had drugs on them, or they took their stun gun, or they did this and that, because they don't want to know.
Yeah.
They really don't.
They will be judged accordingly in the future. Not now. I mean, you and I are judging, but I mean, 100 years from now, they'll be like, fucking barbarians saying, oh, he grabbed a stun gun. That's not a killable offense.
No.
Things like that. And I know for a fact that when I'm talking to somebody and the things that they say, I'll know that there's some shit there that I want to open the door. Like if they say, come in my face, I'm like, this person's been molested. I'm not going to do, well, yes, I am going to do it. But I know some shit went down. I'm not.
I can't follow you there.
If a chick says, you would be hot, I want you to, with your friends, come in my face. You're like, you've been fucked with, my friend. You have been fucked with. Steve, you need to stop. I'm joking. No, hey, look, let's talk about Space Force. I finished it. Let's move on to some light subjects. I finished it, Space Force. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I thought the last couple episodes were kind of weird.
Really? I thought that's when the show started shining.
Spoiler alert. No. It was good. It was just I felt it was, but it's because it's not the point of the show. I know, but it just felt like them going from practicing going to the moon to being on the moon was like
so quick.
It was almost too fast, but that's not the point, right? The training and all that, that's not the point. There were other things going on in there. But yeah, it was damn, they got screwed over at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, whatever on that. I thought it was beautiful when he said people forget what polio is because they get vaccines and they stop taking vaccines. People forget what war is and he's right. That was a poignant thing to say in the year 2020. people are forgotten what things are because they're not that. You know, like you're worried about bathrooms and shit. Worry about hunger. You know, that's a real thing. You know, like your little problems here about socioeconomic stance, you know, that's pretty fucked up. But, you know, let's worry about people getting raped, you know?
I think I think we can operate at all levels. We don't need to focus on one.
We don't
But
focus, but we
not go backwards. I think I think the point in there is not to go not go backwards. Not to not focus on things that are small or big, because that's obviously relevant, right? Socioeconomic, that matters big time to somebody that's living in it. I think we talk to our 13-year-old selves, we'd say, hey, yeah, this is a big fucking problem. I
yeah.
should not be living in this kind of place under these kinds of conditions, while somebody else my age is, living it up in luxury. What did I do differently than them to deserve what I'm in versus what they're in?
No.
But what he's getting at is not to forget and go backwards.
Mm.
Undo progress, not to undo progress, because the idea of the polio thing was that was a response to anti-vaxxers.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-vaxxers can be anti-vaxxers because there's vaccines, and they're trying to come up with all these reasons to stop taking vaccines.
Exactly.
When, hey, look at all these lives that it saved.
Mm-hmm.
And why go backwards on that? Why go back to a time where somebody could get something like polio and become disabled for the rest of their life?
In war.
Why be so quick to go back to war? Because everybody was so quick to go and bomb the Chinese back to the Stone Age, right? In the
For
show.
destroying a sign.
Right. And what was going on a couple years ago? Trump was threatening to go nuclear on fucking North Korea and to start a war and do all this shit. And everybody was forgetting how fucking crazy it is to go to war.
Yeah.
How nervous everybody was during the 80s and the 70s, about the Cold War. The threats that existed in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s going back. Why did we forget? And part of it goes back to education in the system again.
It is, but it's more of people just forget, and we never need to forget. And that's what I liked about it, is that character itself is, I thought was an idiot, because it sucks because they typecasted him, right? Because he's Michael Scott.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that worked for him or against him, because like in the end, when he's saying that shit, I was like, this guy is a measured person.
It gives him an artificial arc. It doesn't work within Space Force. You have to have watched The Office to see it almost. Because you're right. You come in thinking he's Michael Scott, but he's not. Even from the beginning, he's not Michael Scott, really. You're perceiving him as such, and he's kind of talking in a similar way and all this stuff, but he's got a lot more common sense to him.
Yeah, he's pretty. You know what I didn't like, and I have to say it. I mean, I wish it was better written. Was the Air Force guy, the general?
Yeah,
he acted like very childish with the flipping off, and I was just like, it took away from what not Michael Scott, but the general, the Space Force was. It just took away from him, because you had this goofy idiot, fucking all flipping you off, and and I'm killing your spaceman. It took away from him,
Yeah. The other branches seem too antagonistic at times, and then they switch. All of a sudden they become all common sensey, and it doesn't seem to fit.
Yeah, to an extent. And I thought that was good. Actually, I really do think a lot of what they were saying was legit. Like, we can't do that. It's the Air Force guy. That's the way they wrote him fucked up everything in that area, because it was pretty cool, because they were like, yeah, we need to fuck them up. But then they were like, whoa, we can't do this. We can't do that. They actually said that,
He was too much of a dick.
The Air Force guy?
It was almost, yeah, he was almost like a cartoon.
Yeah, and that guy's a good actor, by the way.
Everything else was real.
It's the writing that was done. I think the writers, for some reason, I don't know why, had to create. I don't know. I just don't know. If they had written him differently, I think it would have worked better because everyone else kind of worked well.
Yeah, he was too over the top. I think if he had been a little bit more passive and
Yeah.
his aggressive
Exactly.
and like snuck in,
Mm-hmm.
some of those jabs instead of being overt about it.
Yeah, it's something to say, hey, you like to fuck dogs rather than fuck you and dogs.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a writer.
But yeah, no, he was too out there.
Yeah,
was
it was.
too out
It was a
there.
good show, though. It was a good show.
It was a good show. I liked it.
It was better than the reviews that I watched, but it was good. I don't know. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of weird things that were going on. It was some parts were written badly, but it works. Like, of course, a fucking young girl would go with some people who would fuck her over.
Yeah. That's
And I
I
like
think
John Malkovich.
ripped the headlines.
You know John Malkovich? He was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and they made his character.
I really like the work he did in this one.
Yeah, dude, and they made him gay. And usually I'm anti that because when they make characters gay, it's usually for like we're trying to be woke. But it worked. It worked for the character. It worked for the show.
Right. Yeah, because he got outed in not a cool way.
No. He didn't get outed because he was gay. He got outed because, it was kind of embarrassing. Even if it was a girl, it'd still be embarrassing.
Yes. But
it works.
But yeah, no, it wasn't. It would have worked the same either way.
Exactly.
But the fact that he's gay and he just got outed that way kind of adds a little bit more to like, oh shit, that.
You know what?
Something a little bit more. The way that it happens.
Oh,
I think look at it
worse. But I think that him being gay was a good character trait in the sense that it didn't feel like it was forced in my face.
Right.
Not like you don't know this, but there's She-Ra. You don't watch the show. But on Netflix they got She-Ra. They redid it, right? And I go, I don't watch it. My wife, who is a alpha feminist, she goes, oh, I love the show. I'm like, cool. I like She-Ra back in the day because it was pretty fucking cool. He-Man and She-Ra were tight. She-Ra's a comedy. If you ever fucking watched She-Ra back in the day, Jesus Christ. Shit.
Like, I know I watched She-Ra back in the day. I don't remember anything. Just like I watched He-Man back in the day, I don't remember
it. It was Simpsons of its time. Like, literally, she would do things like this. And then the Arrow guy, who's supposed to be alpha male, he's like, I don't know, you want me to go there? And she's like, she would do these things and do this. And then he was like, want me to shoot them with my arrow? And she goes, no, you idiot, do this. And I'm like, I thought it was pretty cool because they made the traditional male to be fucking stupid and to her to be like, fuck, just let's do this. It was ahead of its time. It was really good. Well, they got She-Ra now, right? And I saw it and I was like, it seems too woke. And it seems like, because there's all these gay characters and shit, and I was like, a lot of gay characters. I bet She-Ra's going to be a lesbian because she's alpha. She's too alpha. She has to get with girls because straight women can't be alpha. And my wife's like, that's bullshit. Straight women can be alpha. I'm like, no. She could be a lesbian. Watch. 5 seasons later, that chick kisses another girl, love, all that. And I was like, told you. And my wife's like, like, that's what you do. If you make a chick too alpha, too woke, you're going to make her a lesbian. That's what's going to happen. But the thing about John Malkovich's character is they weren't trying to be woke. It just kind of organically happens. The fact that he's gay, I was just like, doesn't affect me at all. Because
right.
It's just casual. It's the fact that they put that out there in front of everybody.
Right.
And
yeah, you're right. I think it was written in a way where it wasn't meant to shock you.
Yeah.
Him wasn't the thing. It was the fact that, he wasn't a spy. He was trading love letters, to somebody, digital love letters. That should be where we're at someday, where it's not the thing that makes it funny.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. That's kind of
what they achieved.
Right. That's what they did with the show. But that's what we're trying to do also with race and everything else.
I agree. In the end, there's a common theme here. It shouldn't be the race or the sexism or something like that. It should be just written in such a way where it just happens the way it is, you know?
Now, is a hard right conservative going to be able to watch the show that same way?
Space Force, no, they're gonna fucking shit on the show, and because they're so fucking homophobic, they're gonna shit on other things more thoroughly. But because there's homophobia in there, they're just like, "Arr, I don't like how it's written. I don't like when they directed this episode. They're gonna find other things and make it."
Because there are some right leaning things that they talk about.
In what?
The importance of the military.
A Space Force, yeah. When he said,
Yeah.
so poignant when he goes, imagine a satellite that could help the climate and millions of dollars and all that. Like, yeah. AOC, the AOC wannabe.
Oh yeah, I thought that was good.
Imagine that being taken away because, you know, a foreign interest. And we're like, oh shit, you know, and I was like, yeah.
So the show is definitely down the middle.
Yeah. That,
Because
yeah.
they're kind of pointing out the absurdities on both sides. You know, Trump is a character that only responds through tweets. They're usually like crazy, right? But
You know, there was one thing that I disagreed with. So they got married, and then she goes to prison, and then she proposes open marriage, right? I was like, marriage is a thing.
Yeah.
How I feel in my head is marriage is this. If we're still married, we're married. You know, they try to make an open relationship a good thing. In the end, I would have been like, for me personally, because I'm married, I'm like, if my wife were to propose that, I'm like, let's divorce. She goes, no. Okay. You're going to cheat on me then because that's where I'm at.
right. Because the definition of marriage, it's a personal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that you should work out ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, hey, before we get married, this is what my idea is. You know, I'm going to be faithful to you. You're going to be faithful to me physically and emotionally. You know, and we're going to share this and this going forward. It's not so much a prenup, but it's just like laying out what your values are in terms of defining a marriage. And I would have liked to have seen the general kind of stick more to his guns.
Yeah, in the sense too, because like, I mean, realistic. I mean, it is a TV show and it's supposed to be fantastical and stuff like that. But they were hitting some real points, so I figured they should go all the way. In reality, for marriage, for me personally, and I love my wife and everything, but like, it's not the end all be all. But if she were to die or go to prison, I'm pretty much done. I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna go date. Even if someone's like, yeah, let's fuck. I am of that person. But maybe because it's my age. Well, then again, I'm 38, so I don't know. But I am literally of the person who's like, you know what, I'm good. You know, I'm with that.
You're like a supermodel right now with your hair flowing up.
Yeah, because it's fucking hot. So I get
yeah, it's hot over here too.
Yeah,
I get you, and it seems like the general was kind of that same mind too.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's like me, but then he was like, yeah, I'm totally gonna fuck other chicks, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do that.
I don't know. I would have liked to have seen him stick to his guns, or them to explore the idea that, you know what, if that's what you think marriage is, then guess what? We can't be in this marriage anymore.
Exactly. They should have done
instead of forcing him into progressing in that direction.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying an open marriage is worse than a closed marriage, or no. I'm not saying none of that. You know, if two people come together and they agree that they're going to be in an open marriage, okay, then that's fine. Them two agreed that that's what their marriage is going to be like.
Exactly.
But here, his wife changed it, you know, and expected him to change, and they kind of set him up as like a bad person for not wanting to change.
I thought that was so unrealistic. Like, if my wife was like, you need to have a vagina, I would be like, no. If she would have said open marriage, I would have been like, no. No. Like,
and the thing is, she was already fucking around before she had even broached this with him.
You're just okay. You know, it's hard to confirm that, but yeah, in that second episode when she's like, you know, my
cellmate, I can take it.
exactly. When she said that, I was just like, yeah, that's obviously they fucked, but hard to tell, right?
No, I think she had already said that she had a pretty close relationship with one of the guards or something like that.
She did say that. I don't know. I just thought that was stupid. I mean, you
I
would,
think the guard ends up with them at the breakout or whatever.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
I don't think it was stupid, but because it is possible, for a person to say, well, you know what, okay, you convinced me. I guess we'll redefine what our marriage is.
Yeah.
But they kind of put him in a negative light for not wanting to change initially.
I agree. And like, I hate to say it, but like a lot of the media in movies and TV shows are trying to make that a thing. Understand that. I love fucking. I love other chicks, that kind of thing. But when you marry, you kind of make the contract. And then when you want to break it, you want to do other things.
That's a two-way street.
Yeah, that's it. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm a piece of shit for not fucking going with that. That's like if I just decided, you know what, hitting my wife is a good thing. I can't just decide that.
Yeah, she should accept it and take it.
Yeah, I mean that's retarded, and that's being pushed in our media. I mean, like, it's good, dude. Believe it or not, I hate to tell you, but there's a reality of if I live another 60 years and my wife dies, I'm good. Like, I mean, I hate to tell you that. That's a real thing. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I need to fuck. I need to get with another girl, another companion, and things like that. The media does that weird kind of fucking thing where it's like, it makes up shit. Where like, yeah, you break up with your wife or your wife dies, and then you need to move on. Moving on isn't a thing. Like, I'm good. That part of life is over. That's it. That's a reality. And same thing with anything.
You don't need to move on. There's not a need there. You can have intimate relationships with friends, and that doesn't need to be physical.
Yeah, exactly. I can have a deep relationship with my friend, but we don't need to fuck. Like, yeah. Yeah, right? No, but like, seriously.
I'm trying to open this door this whole time. Damn it.
God damn it, I opened this fucking door. Let's fuck. No, but the reality is, like, that's not like the driving factor. I swear to God, dude, it seems to be that some people, they not people, but these people who make these movies and videos, they have this weird thought process where people need to fuck. I mean, yes, they do, but they don't need. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, you're saying that now, that if something were to happen, that you'd be good, right? Or whatever. But you really don't know until you're there.
That's true, but you do.
But when you're there, and if you're there and you're feeling that, you shouldn't be told that you're wrong for feeling what you're feeling.
That's true too. But
so like, let's fast forward 60 years and you're by yourself for 30 years or whatever.
Right, you're right.
And I can't say, Kev, come on, man, get out there. We got to fuck. They rebuilt our dicks and, we can go out and have sex now.
I see what you're saying. You're right, because I know from my point of view, when an explosion happens, I know that people will run away and I'll run towards it. I know that from experience.
Right.
But you don't know until you know. You know what I mean? Like, I think to myself, I'm the guy who will fuck this guy up and then get beat up. I know that from experience. So, yes, you're right. There's a thing. But, like, from my point of view, I don't know how to explain.
You do have a pretty good grasp of yourself, though. I mean, you kind of know more or less where you're gonna want to lean, but at the same time,
die, and like, we're not good or bad. It's just that if she were to die, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't move on. I mean, that's how I am now. Maybe because she's alive. I don't know. Shit, but I feel like I know myself. Like, I'm like, this is it. I've committed to this, and then if she dies, I'm done. And like, that's not now frou-frou science. That's not something I'm just
But at the same time, we don't know what else is going to cross our path afterwards.
Exactly.
Something else might happen. You'd be like, shit, I totally thought I didn't want that anymore, but this person's really cool.
You're fucking right. For me to say, yeah, I'm done, it's hubris.
No. That's just where you're at right now.
Yeah.
that's where you're at right now at this point in time. You know, this stellar alignment. You know, this progression of time in the universe. That's where you're at right now. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, because I've had fights with my wife where I'm like, I want to end this. But even then, if we had divorce, I would have been like, I'm still done with it. You know, and you're right. Though you're right though. You don't know until you know. You don't. There was one more thing I was gonna bring up. Because we're pretty much done. We covered a lot of topics. Have you watched anything lately?
I'm gonna watch that Dave Chappelle.
Yes, it's good. It's powerful. It's poignant and undisputable. And when he shits on Candace Owen, Candace Owen is the Republicans' Trojan horse. She is black, a female, and she could talk. So when you say something like, you know, black people this, black people that, she can then say, I'm black. I know.
Dude, you have to watch right now when we get off. Watch at least the first 2 or 3. Oh, I don't know how late it is for you. Oh, it's freaking midnight. You work tomorrow?
I'm good.
Dude,
No, tomorrow, yeah. But I have a kid. So
watch right now at least the first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, the making of.
oh yeah.
When Dave Filoni breaks down some shit that happens in episode 1, and I loved it. I don't know, I dug it, and it kind of happens out of nowhere too.
You know what? Mandalorian's a good show, and Hannibal is a good show.
Hannibal's good. I gotta watch that.
Dude, it's on Netflix. I'm watching it again for the second.
Something with Mads Mikkelsen, whatever.
Right? Yes, Mad Mikkelsen. I watched it because I already know the rest of it, and when I watched it again, I'm like, oh wow, this, my friend, is well written. There's things that are layered in there. I have to say, whoever wrote that, you know, some people write shows and they're just writing shows to write shows. There's shows like Mandalorian that exist because that's love. Like how they wrote that show, that's love. I don't know why, for whatever reason, they wrote Hannibal. They fucking love the source material. They love what they're doing because Hannibal Lecter is all into this one guy. And when you're watching it, you don't see it. But knowing that he's into him, if you pay attention to that, he's into him. Not gay-wise, but like into him, like here I am, a being that's higher intellectually than most others, and then there's this guy, and he does certain things. You're like, he's not like the other sheep. Let's explore, and then it becomes a thing where, you know, it switches from exploring to love, in a weird way, without even knowing that. I'm not gonna break it for you, but I am gonna definitely watch The Mandalorian, because when I watched Mandalorian, I was like, this is why they created cinema. This is why it's good, because as you're watching it, it's so well written. There is rarely a fucking show or movie or anything that's written in a certain way where the main character says nothing, really.
Yeah.
But everything is conveyed. And what they did, what the beauty of this is he's wearing a mask the whole time. So you don't see him emote. So it's really the writing and his actions and the storytelling that makes it strong. And that's why The Mandalorian.
There's one thing they said really quick, sorry, but they said that they actually used the stillness of his character to emote, because he's so still all of the time that when he does do a little twitch or something, it's meaningful. Because you're not used to seeing him react to something. You're used to seeing him stoic.
Good writing. That's
yeah. That was them recognizing, you know, they needed to go with this direction in terms of how they were directing him.
I like how they did the Jew thing, you know? I like they're Nazis. Like, they're Nazis. That's what they are. They got these characters who played Nazi characters in other form. And it's so good. It's good. It's like, I'm taking your money. This is Nazi money. I'm taking it. But then, like, at the end of it, it's like, it's fucking.
And the show gave me a lot more respect too for Gina Carano.
She's so okay. I've watched Haywire and other movies she was in. She's not a good actress. And I think she's in Deadpool, right?
Yes.
But this show, when she's in, it's not because of her acting. It's the way it's written.
Yes.
And her character, it's like a hardcore character. You're a character, you're a rebel. You're a human being who didn't want to do the things you wanted to do. And then you did them. And now you're trying to atone for them.
Right.
You know? And the anger is there. But you let it go because you won. Your side won. But the demon is there. You know? And she unleashes it. And then there's a camaraderie there where she is like when you find her on that planet and she's fucking up. God, such a good show. I'm watching Clone Wars with my kid now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so, man, that Nathan Fillion, man, dude, he knows what he's doing, dude. Is it Nathan or David?
Nathan Fillion?
David Filoni?
No. Oh, Dave Filoni. Yeah, Dave Filoni.
Filoni, yeah. But we know who we're talking about, the show.
Yeah.
Dude, he does Clone Wars, and I remember shitting on that show, dude, so hard. And my kid was such a baby. He was in the playpen. I would put it on just because, you know, putting it on the background while I do other shit. And I would catch myself watching it. It got to a point where I was watching it.
Well, okay, so he breaks down how he came into Star Wars, right?
Oh, don't tell me. Don't fucking tell me.
Well, but it's because Clone Wars is not just his. It's not even like it wasn't even his idea.
For real? Because it feels like somebody got handed to him.
He came in after the Clone Wars, the animated one, to work on the digital animated one. I don't know if you remember, there was a Clone Wars animated
cartoon where in like Dexter's laboratory.
Yes.
Craig, I forgot his name. Yeah, he did it.
He was brought in after that.
Yeah, you could tell. No. You could tell there was like a lot of things that were going on, and it was pretty good. Then Clone Wars happens, and it's a bunch of mishmash. That first season's like a bunch of shit, but then season 2 hits, and there is something there.
Well, I think it's because he kind of earns his cred in that first season, right? Because he's all throughout the production of Mandalorian. And all the directors kind of talk about that he was always there to kind of fine tune whatever was happening to be like George Lucas, but without having to be George Lucas.
No, but he felt like he was the mastermind of it. I know Jon Favreau was there.
Yeah, and Favreau did a good job at trusting him because Favreau doesn't know all the lore.
Well, Filoni felt because I've watched Clone Wars and Rebels. And when I'm watching these shows, I'm like, it's like a person who really cared about the source material and just cared about the characters and didn't give in to wokeness. I mean, they do kind of towards the end.
Because writers usually have these rules that they establish for characters, right?
Yeah.
Their attitudes, their values, what they would and wouldn't do in certain situations. And then when they write something out, they kind of vet it through that. You know, would Homer Simpson really react this way in this situation? Yeah. And that's changed over 30 seasons. That's why I can't watch The Simpsons anymore. I don't like new Homer. I can't stand him.
Because he's not the Homer.
He's not Homer seasons 2 through 10. Or 9 actually is where I kind of cut it off.
It's funny you should say that because I've been watching The Simpsons since, because my kid, right? Yeah. All about it. I've been watching Homer Simpson from season 1 and on, and it's different because I'm a parent. And I get a lot of the things that Homer does, not choking his kid and whatever.
Right, no, yeah.
Yeah, but like the things that he does, like for instance, there was an episode, season 3 it was, he's in a Reader's Digest. And back then, before the internet, you would get this magazine that got a bunch of magazines in one, and he's reading it and he's trying to live the life of that magazine. As a dad, as you progress in life, you get something new that's good and hip, and then you try to push it on everybody else. That's the thing you do, dad. And like that's what I do. I'm like, oh look, I learned the William Hoff method of breathing. This is what we'll do from now on. You know, you try to You know, you try to teach your kid that, you know, and then they're just confused and baffled by what you do. But then I'm watching something that happened 30 years ago, and I've watched it. Like, I've watched The Simpsons since Tracy Ullman, you know, and I didn't get the jokes. I got the metaphors. I'm watching my kid watch this shit, and he's loving it, you know, and I'm watching it, and I'm respecting the show in a different light because I'm on the other end. And when I see them writing the show, how they wrote it, they're writing it from a parent's point of view. That's what that is.
And you know, Homer's character, he's ignorant, but it's innocent. You know, he's not trying to be mean or anything like that, but he's kind of going through things as a child would, you know, but he's also a dad. He also has to work.
Yeah, an adult works that way.
Then that's right, because we're still learning, we're still growing, and we could see the Homer in us, you know, that we could actually go ahead and embrace that ignorance and go and learn and grow. But here with Mandalorian, it was mainly Dave Filoni, right?
Yes.
Who kind of looked at the characters and the universe and said, this makes sense within this universe. This doesn't make sense within this universe.
I am with that 100,000%. Like, in the sense of any movie written, I'm like, would this character act the same way? Like, for instance, when you watch Paranormal Activity, right? And like the demon fucking starts hitting her and shit like that. He's like, I could fucking take it on. I'm like, what? Wait, what? As a human being, would you be a person who thought, yeah, for all of history, we're going to take on demons?
Yeah, just out of the blue. Well, and they talk about the Mandalorian's arc, right?
Yeah.
At the very beginning, you kind of see that he, you know, was traumatized and, you know, kind of victimized by the droid army.
Of course.
And they put it in context. You know, if you're a Star Wars nerd, you're like, well, that makes sense because that droid, whatever, you geek out on it. By the end, he's learned to trust, not just like accept them, but to start to trust droids. And if anything, allow that IG-11 to make the sacrifice.
When that happens, that's just.
And it took 8 episodes to get there. That's a real arc. It wasn't like a snap, like, hey, he just decided to let this dude, you know,
to him as a Mandalorian when he takes that fucking helmet off for the first fucking time, right? And you see a scared, defeated person. When he's like, that guy, I think he plays
Pedro Pascal, Narcos.
Yeah, Narcos, right? He's the main guy, right? The main bad. That guy should have got an Emmy just for that because he was like destroyed, fucked up. It was fear, you know, like to hear this heartless fucking guy who could take on all these people who's earned this reputation.
Because he was in control the entire time, and that time it was a situation that there was no way out of.
You know what though? If you watch the show, he's not in control. He just gives off that impression, and for the time you see his face, he's not in control. He's just winging it, just like all of us, like Han Solo did. I mean, that's the beauty of that show. Mandalorian is going to be the most underrated show in all of history, in the sense that it took a Star Wars property and gave humanity to it. You know what I mean?
That's where you know, the Baby Yoda thing, kind of, it's a double-edged sword. You know, got a lot of people to watch it, but also kind of hijacked the show. You know, to where maybe people aren't paying attention to those
humanity of the Mandalorian. You know, like as you and I are talking about the Mandalorian, aren't you not thinking about the song?
Yeah.
Like the whole time we were talking and having this conversation, I have a theme in my head. But what's happening is people are talking about Baby Yoda.
Well, I'll probably watch the series again. I think the next one's supposed to come out in a couple months.
Whatever. Probably I will watch it again because that is one of the greatest shows ever. And like, you know what's great about it? And other than that is the Apollo Creed guy. I forgot his name. I
liked him. When he first came out and he was talking the way he was talking, I was like, why is he acting like that's the character?
Yeah. No, but
that's his way of speaking and his pattern. And he stuck to it.
Yeah, the guy who is in Predator and Apollo Creed can play a character in which I I don't know where he stands. I know where he stands. He's a hero to me. You know what I mean? And it just how he talks, you know, that's a good actor, underrated. Oh man, dude, there's a lot of
Yeah, I didn't get it at first. When he came on, I didn't get it at first. But then I remembered, I go, this guy's actually a pretty good actor. This guy's actually a pretty good actor. If he's doing this, there's a reason for it.
yeah.
And then we're realizing that's the character he created. You know, he created this
he-
character with his speech pattern. And it's in space. So who knows? That might be how they talk on his planet.
Well, not just that, like literally, if you were to portray the Mandalorian in an epic way, like he loses his arm or something like that, I could see us going that direction, because as of now, I trust him completely. But he has created a character where you could see why he would betray you.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, he was able to keep it ambiguous, I think, through that speech pattern.
Yeah,
Because
just
we're always trying to figure out, you know, what's this guy's deal?
but like he gave such a gravitas to it, you know. You are a warrior who is wearing steel, or whatever. The Valerian steel is really good, and I don't know, man. Just the way he talks, I don't know. That guy, Apollo Creed, Predator guy, Dixon. I thought you were a guy I could trust, dude. He is a really good actor.
Now this is kind of what the cool thing is about this whole conflux of Disney buying Marvel, buying basically everything, and buying Star Wars, everything under the sun, right? Because that's where Disney kind of got to start working with Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Bought Marvel. Jon Favreau comes with the package, you know, and all of a sudden you got access to this guy who has these great ideas, but also knows how to pick people and put people in the right spots to create something great that everybody really expects to fail or not to do as good.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting The Mandalorian to do as good as it did. I mean, I was looking forward to it, but I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way that a TV show could have the production values, you know, or the weight that a Star Wars, you know, a movie has.
I have a feeling, though, if The Mandalorian is really good, if he was given a budget of half the of the money he was given, it would still be of that good, of that nature.
Yeah.
I don't. His skill is of that money isn't a thing, because a lot of that stuff could have been done like in reality, you know, without all that shit that you talked about.
Well, I mean, I'm curious as to what the budget was for the show, because at 8 episodes, it's almost like 3 movies.
Dude, it looked like a pretty advanced budget. It just felt that way. It felt that way.
Movie. When I'm watching the Razor Crest, the shit fly around and stuff, I'm like, it looks like it was shot for the movies.
Dude, you could pick any scene and you could call it a movie scene, because when they're in the snow, when they're fucking fighting the fucking AT, when they build up that scene with Gina Carano or Serrano, whatever her fucking name is. Look, they got an AT, whatever fucking Walker. They built it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And here I am watching Clone Wars. I'm right now in season 3 or whatever the fuck, or season 2, with the Clone Wars, as in I think it's the one where the Duchess, where she's gonna die eventually, but she's in there, and the Obi-Wan has to defend her, and they have that inner drama between her and him. And it's like Filoni created a situation in which, like, here you have a Jedi, you know, he has this energy about him where he has to give away feelings and shit, because that leads to the dark side. But then he's got these real feelings for a female, and it's cool because Darth Vader, whatever his fucking name is, he's like, you got a thing for her, because he's sensing those feelings and shit, because he's more attuned to that. I thought that whole dynamic, all of that, was beautiful. That was so strong, you know? In fact, I wish they would crush the Clone Wars and create a live action show of it, because
that's real drama. That's internal drama. That's something that a lot of us can identify with. You know, what we know is right and what do we know shouldn't be, or whatever.
Yeah, it took the source material of Jedi and made it an actual thing. Like, there's actual conflict it's always man versus nature, man versus man. It's him versus himself, because he has to do Jedi shit, but
It's
he's
not just him versus himself. It's him versus the a value system that
himself.
that he values, but now he's like, shit, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not able to follow it
Such
100%.
a beautiful thing to have a thing in which here you are in love with somebody, and everyone can agree with that's a thing, but then you have a sense of duty.
Yeah.
I gotta, and it's built up to that point, and we all know what happens when you don't follow the duty of a Jedi, how dangerous that can be. I just think that there's more to explore there. It's just that it's confined into this cartoon, but I really do think that would be a more poignant show in which I have love, and if I follow this path, I will then kill everyone I know and love to achieve this. Not as badly written as the Star Wars trilogy, like, oh, Santa's Course, Anakin Skywalker, that piece of shit fucking trilogy. But Obi-Wan is legit. Like he knows that if he falls in love with this lady, she won't become the person she's supposed to be. Wait, she ends up dying anyways. But she's not the person who will run 1,500 systems and do the right thing, and he will then give up to vengeance and kill a bunch of people because he doesn't do that. She dies. He doesn't end up being a vengeful person. You know what I mean? There's so much there to explore, And Anakin is such a simplistic character in which he's the everyman, right? It's, oh, my fucking girl's about to die, I'm gonna kill everyone for it. And everyone could relate to that. And that's who Anakin is. He just so happens to have the power to do it.
Right.
And that's why I wish they would crush the Clone Wars and turn it into an actual show. Mandalorian, good shit. Keep going. I could see them doing good things, but Clone Wars, there's something there to be valued.
I think what's there is the fact that there's good writing, and tap into that.
Well, writers who understand the lore and move forward. Yeah.
Right. And aren't trying to change it. Are you okay?
I burped and coughed at the same time.
Oh, way to go, Drake.
Oh.
Yeah, not writers that are out to change the lore or surprise fans, but want to take the lore, value it and add to it, or expand it, or work within it to create maybe these other little viewpoints that you hadn't thought of, but still working within the rules.
Yeah, that's good writing. You have a system in place, and then you kind of work around it. It's world building. That's why Lord of the Rings works, or Game of Thrones or whatever. Oh shit! I hate it. Give me a second.
You said something, and now you're glitching.
Let me a second. Okay, we're good. We're good. Look, I was gonna say one more thing. Game of Thrones, Filoni, Star Wars. Oh yeah, I was watching the Clone Wars, and I thought to myself, the Clone Wars was written wrong. Like when I'm just gonna throw this out. I'm a better writer than most people. I'm gonna throw that out because I'm an idiot. Is that when I heard the word Clone Wars, I thought it was an awesome idea of people fighting their own clones. Like, as in, maybe they should have did something to the effect of you're fighting your own clones. You'd have Jedi. You'd have all these fucking people, and then make it more of an epic war as opposed to robots, separatists, all that bullshit, and we just cloned a bunch of people. Why the fuck are you calling it Clone Wars? You would think you would call it Clone Wars because the very thing that makes it special is because there's clones. And wouldn't it have been awesome if, rather than you fighting robots and separatists, it was a clone that thought, oh yeah, we're better doppelgangers, right. A doppelganger war. You know what I mean? You would have your own Jedi Council and everything else. I just don't know why this was a missed opportunity. I don't know. It's written wrong.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Have a clone of like Obi-Wan or something like that. But Star Trek Nemesis kind of did it. Maybe a little bit.
No.
He was a clone of Picard.
Yeah, but he was a clone of Picard because he was supposed to take over the fucking Federation. And because that got scrapped, he then was like, fuck, I'm thrown away. I'm going to take over now.
Was it oh shit, Exo Squad?
That would have been awesome, but that's like different from clones. I gotta pee. I'm gonna pee my pants. All right, we're recording. I think. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I gotta end this because it's been 3 hours and my kid needs to go to sleep. It's 12 o'clock.
And because you got to watch the Mandalorian making of thing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things I gotta watch. Let's just say, and we're not gonna record again until next week, anyways.
All right.
So, hey, a lot of good topics. Anything you want to bring up?
No, man. I'm gonna start writing stuff down.
You know what? That's a good idea. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And there's like thousands of pages of stuff. So that's how that works out. But I have to say, we had a good podcast, 3 hours worth of good stuff. We talked some nerd shit. We talked some real shit. And we got it done. And as always, if you like our shit, or you disagree with our shit, or you have another comment that articulates one of my point or Eber's point or a new point, do it. It's on the YouTube. If you can find us, YouTube on Podcast for We, like and subscribe, share amongst yourselves. I'm going to load this on the SoundCloud, and it'll be on iTunes. You can leave a review if you want, shit on us as you want. And basically, all we do is two nerds talk about some shit and get into other shit, which we shouldn't do. But we do it because we have the mind to do it. You have anything else to say, Matt? I said my dog, my fucking kid. Aber, you have anything to say?
Yeah, you guys are welcome to the discussion. It's not a challenge; it's an invitation. I think we learn a lot from each other, and I think we'd be open to learning from other people too.
It's such a true statement in the sense that we do learn from each other, in the sense that I say some things, you say some things, and then I've noticed that as I've listened to these fucking podcasts, usually I listen to them just to listen to the audio quality, but I'll actually eventually listen to something that we're saying, and it's like, wow, I learned a little bit more. In fact, there's some points that you actually do say that I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm stupid for not listening. And I'm surprised that you have these conversations with.
But we're sincere. We're both sincere in wanting to do the right thing. But a lot of times it's kind of hard to figure out what that is and how that is.
It's good that we have counterpoints to argue with each other, and we are trying to listen to each other. And every once in a while, our ego takes over, and we're trying to figure out how we're right. I know I do that. But, like, sometimes I'll be listening to the podcast that we make, and I'm like, well, there's a point to that. When you said training, I was against what you would say. Then I heard other people talk about it in a different way. And I'm like, man, there are things that I just don't grasp right away, but then I'll learn later on.
That's a lot of people. But the important thing is that you're listening still.
Yeah.
You're not just hearing them and saying, oh, it sounds like they're not agreeing with me, so I'm just going to not fucking listen to them. No, we listen to them.
Yeah. And I find that's the thing in the world. And it's a way in which you have to present the information. Like, I'm not like, when people say, fuck mask, I don't go like, yeah, you're stupid. I go, yeah, I see what you're saying. But the reality is, I don't mind people dying. It's just that it does statistically make sense that if you and I are wearing masks, when we cough, we're to each other, we're not going to get disease. Yeah. And vice versa. And like in respect to racism, I mean, racism does exist. You ain't fixing that. But if you fix the system, you can. And that's how we are, This is a good convo. This is good. Anyways, if you like and subscribe, share, and all that good